Hey, it's Shapes, and welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. It's not even 6 yet. Oh man. Oh man. Let's see. Well, I wanted to get to that music cue. It was just Kino. Oh boy. We were just geeking out on One Piece. I have 4 Kids One Piece opening. I just gotta get some light on my face. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let me know if music's okay and etc. etc. We're finishing K today. Finished, and it was a lot of reading. I actually was worried at first that I wasn't going to finish it because I keep getting distracted by Twitter and YouTube. As usual, my vices. I can't with it, man. I really have to get off of that thing if I want to actually be productive. I did really good yesterday though, because I was like, oh, I want to get this, like, a bunch of these other things done. And I'm like, oh, I'll get this section of one project done. But then I was just on a roll, and I'm like, oh, let's do a little bit. Let's see what I can, get some filler footage over this thing and not really actually edit it. But then I was like, actually, I do have the piece for that, and I have the piece for that, and I have the piece for that, and that. I could feasibly finish this. It was like an 11-minute video. So I was like, yeah. And I finished it. And so I have it, and I didn't expect to have it ready for this presentation. Well, this thing, where I'm having a thing tomorrow. That's why I can't stream today. And that video is like kind of a part of it, or at least something I want to present to that guy that he commissioned me to make. Or I asked if I could make, and he paid me to do it, basically. So we'll see how that goes. But that's why I'm gonna take a few minutes to, wait for some people to come on stream. Huh? Don't come on stream. Oh no. I fucking, oh man. Way One Piece characters laugh. It's the best. Cool. Streaming. All right. Yeah. Anywho, I did pretty well yesterday. Although I didn't finish. I've wanted to work on the fucking Naruto audio, but still haven't gotten to it this week. But Friday, tomorrow, I got nothing else to do. And then, I'm like heading down there that evening. So I'm like, fuck it. Let's see if I can finish part 2's audio. That would be Obito and Shonen Jump for part 2. And I can find out how long that video is, roughly. And then when I get back from that thing on Sunday, Monday, boom, do it. Well, although I will say Friday, tomorrow, we're watching Panda Co Panda with my patrons. So we're doing that. And then Monday, that'll be it. I'll try to finish part 3. And yeah, I can wait till Friday or Saturday. I was thinking about when I do AniTube Digest, and I think I'll wait till the end of the month. When the month is finished and all the videos of September are out, and then I can record on like October 1st or something. Although I think I have work October 1st, so gonna have to be October 2nd. I mean, it'll technically be a month if I did the Thursday after, like the 29th. I guess I could do that. Yeah, I should probably just do that. Fine, I'll probably do the 29th. Ah, Greg, at last. Hi, good to see you. It makes sense that not a ton of people are here on a Thursday. It's a slightly different day, so I can understand that. But I was just hoping for people to show up. I'm waiting a couple more minutes, maybe. Let me crack open this Mountain Dew that my roommate so generously gave me. Which is very, very nice. Oh man, that kale. That's great. I'm a big fan. This reading was interesting. A couple wild, wacky things. But nothing too mad. I say it every time. I hope you're having a good week. I am. I really am. I was just saying that I got a project done that I wasn't expecting to get fully done yesterday. Like all yesterday, it was like 12 hours. I think I woke up and I was like, because I was really disappointed in myself yesterday because I didn't really do as much work as I was hoping to, or as much progress on stuff. And like the day before, I had like a party and there was other things. I haven't been feeling that productive this week. So yesterday I was just like, fuck it, and really went hard. And I was literally editing. I was editing like till 10 p.m. Going from I went from like 9 a.m. or something, or 8 maybe, like through the whole day there pretty much. Didn't do anything else. Just worked on that video. And I was really happy to, because I had to re-record stuff and time things, and it was a whole process. And I think I also did the orchestration too. Oh my god, I did like pretty much the whole video that one day. So I'm pretty happy about that. All things considered. Yeah, but that gives me confidence in my ability, because I always worry that like I'm too perfectionist or I'm rusty because I haven't edited in a while. Actually, yeah, no, this week I did another project too. I can't say what it is, but it was for Discotheque. I did another thing. I made something, and I was able to make that in about a couple days, because I was worried, and I just cranked it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's all that good. And he's like, it's good. I'm like, okay. So, and I'm just, at this point, I'm just worried about my progress on the Naruto stuff, because I really wanted to get the audio of all 3 of them done by the end of the month. And then every subsequent month, I could just focus on the visuals. But I don't think I'm going to have time, unless I work on it like every day this coming week. It could be cool. I have an eye appointment. But if I work on it as hard as I fucking can this next week, try to finish part 2 and 3's audio. I want to finish part 2's audio tomorrow, but then part 3 sometime next week, and then at least get started on the orchestration maybe. But if I went that hard on that other project, maybe it could work. I don't know. It's not great to put my self-value into my work, I guess. But it is, I guess it's also just I am trying to take care of myself. I am working out as often as I can and visiting other people, making sure I make time for friends and family, and not be complete isolate, not be a freak, I guess. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get to the notes. Let's go to the notes. All right. It's just 3rd edition, so just opinions and odd choices and such. A lot of stuff, actually. This 3rd K was packed with stuff. Positive on K-On! Sweet slice of life, gentle humor, pretty animation. Movie is intriguing. Although they sure had a paragraph about K-On! That did not need to be there. You literally could take the whole paragraph out and the article would be fine. It'd be good, actually. But what the hell possessed them to write that? I don't know. But we'll get there to odd choices. I don't want to jump around too much. Kasan Mom's Life. Kasan. Bittersweet slice of life comedy. Yeah. Kaido Maru. Evocative. Some scenes are just showing off. Belongs on the shelf with classical anime. By classical anime, they mean like, old time stuff like Tale of Genji and The Sensualist from like the 80s. More than the sum of its parts. Because they had some problems and critiques about it, but they were usually positive about it. It was hard sometimes to choose that balance of like, are they positive or are they more mixed? Kaiba. Filled with invention, wonderful visuals, and idea-packed plot, anime is at its absolute best as a medium for unique visions such as this. Nice. I don't remember if he actually mentioned Yuasa. I think they did. No, it was Kick Heart. They didn't mention Yuasa at all. That was interesting. But at Kaiba they did. Kaito Reina. Art style reassuringly retro. Perky color palette. Yeah, it was a weird comment to make, but it is an opinion. Positive enough, so sure. Kakurenbo. Intriguing and rewarding exploration of the dark side of Japanese fairy tales. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, that was. I think that was one of the I wrote down as interested in. There's a lot that I was interested in for different reasons. That'll be fun to go through because I didn't look up. There's sometimes when I do the now interested in, I actually do look into the title a bit more, but here I kept myself mostly unspoiled, I guess. So we'll see how they look. Kaleido Star. They had liked it. Silly and lightweight on the surface, powerful truths about stardom and yada yada. They go through a whole list, but they seem to be a fan of it. Though they say some weird stuff in that one, or they do a certain thing that got me pretty upsetty spaghetti, or just annoyed. Kamichu. Tremendous creativity and Japanesquery. I think. Yeah. They seem positive on it. Karin. Tastefully allegorizes the obsession of teenage girls with blood and its loss. Yeah. All right. Kare and the Curious Tower. Carl and the Curious Tower, actually. I know that one. That was one of the more interesting ones, just as the premise. Delightfully simple designs. That's literally it. I don't know if they really have a positive opinion on it or not, but that was something, so I wanted to make sure I wrote it. Kawaii Jenny. The N is supposed to be capitalized, as they point out as well. Wonderfully detailed scenes of everyday life. That was weird. That was a weird article, I'll be honest with you. But, something I was just like, oh, what? But I have to look into it more. Because there might have been a previous stream or something where I was like, huh? And this may have come up before. In regards to a certain thing. You'll see. I hate to tease a bunch. Ketsuinu. Gags come thick and fast. Alright. I couldn't really gauge what their thoughts on that, and that's fine. I don't need to gauge their thoughts on any of these, but, Kids on the Slope. Powerful audio component is added. Yep. Yes, the anime does have music. Faithfully recreates the sight of music as it's made. Yeah. There was a funny, I think I wrote it down in Odd Choices, but I found it funny that, they really did not want to call it rotoscoping. They were like, it seems like it's, the person was shot in live action first, and there was a traced over, I'm like, so rotoscoping? Kill a Kill. Made with a real heart and a love of those same traditions, because it, has some cliches, but it's like, yeah, they liked it. There's some interesting things regarding Kill a Kill, actually, that'll come up later. I keep doing that, man. I'm sorry. King of Thorn. Story is packed with ideas. Deserved to be more successful than it was. Cool. I'm happy they liked it. Kino's Journey. Plot remains thoughtful, designed to provoke thought and debate. Beautiful and remarkably restful, but it's more like meditation than entertainment. Yeah, and that's its own form of media, and enjoyment. It can be and still be enjoyed. Why avoid saying rotoscoping? I really don't know. I can read you their thing on it. Kids on the Slope. Yeah. Yeah. In particular, the use of digital animation allows for what appears to be an immense amount of real-world reference, making parts of the show seem less animated than shot live and then heavily treated, compared to Flowers of Evil. So rotoscoping, like Flowers of Evil is very well known to have been rotoscoped. What's hard? Like, it's like they forgot the term or something. Like what? Also, use of digital animation allows for that? I mean, maybe, but rotoscoping's been around since Snow White. Like, what do you mean by that? Let me see if they use the word rotoscoping in their Flowers of Evil article. Yeah, no, they. What the fuck? What the fuck? I think they. What? Literally, they say rotoscoping is nothing new in anime. Not since Yoshiko Sakuna provided reference footage for Panda and the Magic Serpent in 1958. They don't have a problem with saying rotoscoping. In fact, they find it trite, apparently. What? What happened? I think there's two different writers here. I think this is a situation where there's two different writers. That's so funny. What the hell? Can you rotoscope without digital? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's so weird. Oh my god. Because it's not like really digital. Rotoscoping really is a hand-drawn technique. Because, I mean, and a lot of animation is still hand-drawn. The only difference with digital techniques and use is all the coloring aspects and all the digital compositing and, you know, certain textures and stuff like that. That would be hard to actually draw. But, like, Ongaku Our Sound, he drew all that. That's all drawn. That whole scene of the concert, too. That's like rotoscoped painting. Or at least what it seems like to me. It's certainly not fucking digital. Anyway. Yeah, that was hilarious and odd. Let me make sure I keep the chat pulled up. Anyway, my comment was a statement. Oh, sorry, Greg. My bad. Kiss on those lips. Curiously old-fashioned tale despite the sex scenes. Struck gold, the developer, I guess, struck gold with this game series. Cool. Hi. Catching 2 of these in a row. Glad to see they liked K-On! Yeah. Yeah. They had something to say. They liked it. They had something to say about it. That's like, you know what? I'll say it right now. Because I figure you're here, Alice. Why not? No need to keep you in suspense. God. So first of all, they say at one point, in fact, Yui can hardly play the castanets. I was confused about that. I've seen K-On! Like 3 years ago at this point. I think the castanets is like a joke. Like, you know, it's her as like a preschooler. And she's like thinking back to that. And then there's a joke of she's like, oh, no. What I think it was in episode 1 was that, oh, Yui was so energetic when you were like always, ever since you were like in preschool. And it cuts to her being like, everyone's going like kind of like this. And then Yui's go, you know, just like kind of characterizing her. And then I think it's the same scene, or it cuts later, where they're like, I mean, you could play the castanets, and then she just flashes to her as high school, and she's like, ah! And that's what that gif is. It's so fucking, I died, dude. What? I was like, I like this show. The show was cool with me once that scene, that moment. It was so, because I knew about that gif, but I had no idea about the context and how fucking funny it was. Oh my god. But like, I was like, wait, what? But no, what I wanted to mention, what I wanted to, it was kind of like, huh, okay, was there, 1,000. Oh, for fuck's sake! If you just do K-on, you get 1,000 plus results. Come on. Gotta scroll. Fucking hell. Okay. Okay. Yes. All right. Yeah, K-on's so funny. Kyoto Animation is going a long way toward out-cuting all others. Kyoto Animation is going a long way toward out-cuting all others, with shows like Canon and The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya on its rap sheet. And someone at Kyoto Animation loves their instruments. This may not be a hard-hitting, edgy rock chronicle like Beck, but the gear is all hugely credible. How schoolgirls have the money and connections to get such fabulous instruments is another matter. This is everyday anime as wish fulfillment for the intended 20-something male audience, many of whom can be expected to know AKG's K701 cans and a Korg RK100 when they see them. Cute girls and hot gear, a boy's dream series. Don't be fooled into quoting this or similar shows. So when I first read "Don't be fooled into quoting this," I was like, "Oh, you don't want me to quote this out of context or something." But no, they're saying, "Don't be fooled into quoting this K-on or similar shows as evidence of the feisty independent young women of anime. These girls and Haruhi and all their moe classmates are as objectified as any porn victim. They were constructed for the male gaze, but because they were constructed very cleverly, they can attract and deceive their own kind. Decoy ducks for the patriarchy, and with such fine feathers." What's wrong with you? Why can't people just enjoy? Yeah, like, they're deceiving you. Like, the fucking... What the fuck? Like, oh yeah, fuck me, I guess. Yeah, alright. Yeah. What is that? Yeah. To read their whole article, that paragraph I just read to you could be taken out entirely and nothing would be lost. What the fuck? Mia, but sturdy. Yeah. I could not. I was like, why God? why did you do that? You liked the show. You also just like kind of get like, I kind of like this earlier paragraph. Four-panel gag manga strips are popular sources for anime, but many of the shows rely so strongly on local humor that they never make it out of Asia. I don't know where that comes from, but anyway. One of the strengths and drawbacks of such strips is their reliance on running gags and recurring characters, easy to understand and digest, not so easy to turn into an unmissable weekly date with the TV screen. Arguable, but okay. Director Yamada does a good job of packaging the invitation, offering a sweet slice of high school life with gentle humor, occasional wackiness, parodies, watch out for the homages to Detroit Metal City, visual puns, and pretty animation. I'm like, okay. And then they drop that shit. What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't be fooled. Cute girl. This is weird, right? For the intended 20-something male audience, many of whom can be expected to know AKG K701 cans and a Korg RK100 when they see them. Who the fuck watching K-on is like, I see. It's the KG RK100. What? This is many of whom? They're not going to watch fucking K-on. People who are actually nerdy about that shit, unless you steer it to them being like fucking some music expert on YouTube like reacts to K-ons and their accuracy. Like, that's it. Why do they feel the need to espouse their political statements in a fucking encyclopedia? Do they know K-On! Is a huge female fan base? No, they are explicitly targeting they're saying they can attract. They were constructed because they were constructed very cleverly. They're lumping in not just K-On! But like Haruhi Suzumiya and all their Moe classmates. And they refer to Kyoto Animation at the beginning of this paragraph. They're basically calling out KyoAni as a studio. Maybe I'm like blowing this up more than. But why? You could just say K-On!, right? But why are they saying these girls and Haruhi and all their Moe classmates are as objectified as any porn victim? And because they were constructed very cleverly, they can attract and deceive their own kind. Just because there's a lot of women who like this show doesn't make them any less porn victim, less objectified as porn victims. Are you kidding me? This is why I hate politics. Hello, Fullwood Man. Felt like we had two writers on that, and it must have been written during the Moe panic phase of the community. Yeah. Oh, it was definitely during the Moe panic. And you know what's so funny is that like K-On! Probably ironically, a lot of people were turned off by K-On! Because of all this stuff, how cute it was, whatever. So it wasn't actually doing the thing that they're saying it's doing, of like attracting this male audience or something. A lot of guys hated K-On! A lot of guy anime fans hated K-On! And it was a lot of the, like, I don't know, generalize or something. But it took a lot of different fans to actually appreciate the show for what it is. Instead of just, like, making this whole fucking thing about it. You know? It's ridiculous. It's like the writer went from Jekyll to Hyde in an instant. Yeah, I don't understand. Bro, just let people like stuff. That's insane. If you watch K-On!, you'll become sexist. This is the political equivalent of saying playing video games makes kids violent. I don't think they're saying that. I'll say what they say again. Patriarchy, I guess. These girls and Haruhi and all their Moe classmates. Don't be fooled into quoting this or similar shows as evidence of the feisty, independent young women of anime. I don't think anybody is trying to make that argument about K-On! These are feisty. These girls with K-On! Are feisty, independent young women. No, they're just funny and like it's pleasant to watch their experiences and also to relate to their hardships of finishing high school, which these guys are completely cynical towards, because a ton of anime do that. And just because it's a cliche, then it doesn't matter how well it's executed. Unless they say it's, oh, no, this one's different because this actually worked on me. Because that's multiple times where they've said that this is a cliche or this is nothing new, but it's done well. So in their mind, because all they say about the fucking, this is what they fucking, the second TV series K-On! Season 2, note the doubled exclamation points sure to send encyclopedists into conniptions. Come on! Get over yourselves! Like, actually get over yourself. Who cares? Just call it the K-On! No, whatever. Aired in maybe I'm making a big deal of it, but it's like, why point that out? They're like, oh, send it into conniptions. Like, come on. Sorry, I have to loop. Ooh, I forgot to loop the movement music. Taking the four girls into their final year of high school. And that's all they say. They don't even really, that's twice as long. Is like kind of dramatically more narrative driven and emotional. Of course, they're just judging it off the first season, like most people who judge K-On! Even though they say they like it, the first season. Whatever. So that was K-On! I guess I'll go into that early. A big whatever. Nice to start the stream off, I guess, with that, ultimately. Let's move on back on to, where was I? Knights of Zidonia. While it offers nothing new, it is at least a competent and well-crafted entry. See what I mean? That is literally what I was just talking about a few minutes ago. It offers nothing new. It's at least competent. It's okay. Alright. It seems like an original premise to me. Maybe I just have like this low standard, or I'm not as media poisoned or something, or I'm not actively trying. Like I'm not actively. It's Tenchi Muyo again. Like I'm not panicking over it being like something else that I've already seen or I've already made a big hubbub about. You know what I mean? Or like that's better than Armitage the Third. I'm sorry. Oh man. Didn't the creators talk about how much they cared about the characters and felt like they were their children? Like they gave them warmer clothes so that they wouldn't catch a cold. Oh, the director and writers and stuff? Probably. Naoki Yama, I mean, you know, she's great. Really good director. Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous. Kobato. They liked Kobato. It's good. Is it Kobato or Kobato? Makes sense with Kobato, but I've always read it as Kobato. For some, I'm American. Kobato. Animation by Madhouse is utterly gorgeous, worthy of attention. Once your brain is on politics, everything is a problematic conspiracy. This goes for both sides. Yeah, pretty much. It's funny with like a lot of this like drama stuff, like with the Crunchyroll mob thing. It's just hard for me to care because I haven't seen the dub. You know, and I can get it on principle, but I'm personally, you can do literally whatever you want. It's great if you want to take a stand and stuff, but like, I don't feel like my care of that issue, that I'm not in that industry. I am in the anime industry, right? But I'm not in the voice acting side of things. And like, yeah, they should have, I guess I'm taking my fucking take anyway. Yeah, they should have benefits. Yeah, they should be able to, you know, should they make a living? That's the other thing, right? Should they make a living doing just this voice over work? Or it's like, oh, they shouldn't have to go to conventions to, whereas like, and other people kind of like really making a point of how they have another job besides this other thing. Yeah, I have another job besides this anime thing. I'm not complaining about that. And that's, I get that it's not like super, and I'm not gonna talk about my pay of like whatever. But my only reason I need to have another job is only because I don't get enough work. I get I get work, but I don't get like a consistent flow, and it's really hard to predict. You know, it just is what it is, and I'm sure, dead positive, that voice actors are going through the exact same thing. And like, yeah, they also deserve all that other stuff, but their job, once it's done, it's done. There's no more episodes to dub. They have to go finding another gig. That's an actor. That's what actors do. They have to go find other stuff, and the grind is tough, really tough. And there's not a lot of consistent gigs out there, especially for voice acting. So I get it. I don't know why I suddenly became all about this issue, I guess. I guess the reason I brought it up is just this is like, I don't give a shit. I guess it sounds like I give a shit now that I'm describing my situation and stuff, but I don't want to bother. It's what you want to invest your time into. Do I want to invest my time into tweeting that and engaging with people and try to make a case about it or something? Or do I go do my work? Or do I go have to edit this video I have to do? I should not be on Twitter right now. You know, every tweet I do is too self-indulgent with the amount of work that I should be doing or want to do, because I want to be able to do this big project. Or, sorry, this is no longer about the whole fucking thing. I'm on a tangent, sorry. As someone who lives somewhere cold, most films don't seem to give characters proper winter clothes, almost never giving people hats or gloves. It's funny. Yeah. That's fair. I mean, I live in Rhode Island, so it's sort of like a mix. You know, we get pretty much all the seasons, but I could get that where, like, you know, we have plenty of like the colder months, so I can get that. serious, well-written TV show about forbidden love for Koikaze. Dude, when I got to their Koikaze article, I was like, please get this right. Please get this right. Because you know that they're not, based on everything I've read, it's kind of a gamble. It's kind of like there's been some articles where I thought it'd be a slam dunk, where I would kind of figure what their opinion is on it, and then it's not that, And then other times I've been surprised, where it's like, it's like, they actually really like Gantz or something. So I was pretty happy that they actually were like, no, it's not a generic. You think it's some blah, but it's actually a serious, well-written TV show about forbidden love. And it makes sense on their end, because when I read it, because it's like, yeah, they've actually experienced all of that other garbage. Like, they've really sifted through all that stuff. So they can properly discern that. They're not just be like, incest bad. Like, yeah, obviously incest bad. Like, notice, I'm saying, like, just because it has incest in it, therefore the show is bad. It's a commentary on it. If you're not familiar with Koikaze, that's the premise. It's standard, but it's like the main character does not want to feel that, but he can't help it, and then it's like, it's horrific. It's like really harrowing, and it also goes like both ways. It's, oh my god, it's crazy. It's something else. It's a really like, I gave it a great. It's just like makes you feel like really really harrowing thoughts. It were just like, oh god, it's something else. Yeah, I get all the seasons. Winter's is rough though. Yeah. Kotatsu Cat, action-packed and hilarious. That was an interesting one because it's and I wrote that down elsewhere, so we can get to that later. Kurozuka, classy-looking piece of mind candy. I've never seen anyone call it mind candy before. The way they were describing it too, I think it was like, do you mean eye candy? Alright, I guess mind candy then. That isn't unworthy to be shelved alongside Madhouse's earlier Wicked City. God, they cannot get Wicked City out of their mouths. Maybe at least four mentions in this reading alone. Oh, it comes up so often. Wish more incest anime was like Koikaze instead of the usual wish fulfillment crap. Yeah, because it really was just like it actually took the issues as an issue. It took it as an issue and took it seriously. It was really, really bold, and like also the really tactful way that they handled it too, because they don't really make you feel that way yourself, right? They don't just like see where he's coming from. Like, they don't feel that. They don't do that at all. Now that they go out, they steer away from that intentionally, but it really is very matter of fact, and it's like you can kind of see it, but it's really all about like his and but also the girl's perspective, because the girl ends up feeling the same way. And weirdly, they don't bring that up in the article. In their description of Koikaze, it's just from the guy's perspective. But something I was like really stricken by in Koikaze in particular is that they both feel it, and so there creates this like really awkward like, why not? And if it's like consensual, and they're like, no way. It's just like, oh god. it's something else. Negatibu, Kami-sama Dolls. Too short to give a satisfying account of its complex backstory. You can get away with ciphers and pornography, but it's much more difficult to win over a TV audience. So like, I guess they were calling the characters ciphers, and it's like, I mean, you could do that with porn, but forget it with TV. It's just like, geez, what a fucking diss. That's brutal. Kaze no Stigma. Unsatisfying. Too weak to be really awful. Too serious about itself to be really funny. Missed opportunity of a show. They had like one or two positive things to say about it, but it was mostly negative. Karaku no O. Nasty taste for revenge and an insidious attempt to excuse it with disability. Yee. They usually don't talk, but they don't really give their opinion on hentai that much. But that one, they didn't mention it. Kigurumika V3. Random event. This is all they said about it. This was not all they said, but it was just like the way they wrote it was just like, oh. Just random events, excruciatingly bad gags, and perverted cuteness abound. And that's how they end the article. And just like, it's like shortly after, like, they describe what it is, like the synopsis, and then just that. And it's like, huh. Okay. And Kokudo O. Immensely entertaining. Not so much for its content, but for imagining the looks on Tolkien's literary executors if they ever see it. It's an opinion, but like I couldn't call it mixed or dismissive. I guess I could call it dismissive maybe, but I don't know. It was because it's like nothing to do with the fucking show itself. It's like, ugh, I don't know. It's also just a kind of just an excuse at a joke. That's a lot of these too. A lot of this, right? I imagine it's just gonna be kind of like, dude, don't take it that seriously. It was a joke. It's gonna be a lot of that, I imagine. If I ever get feedback about this, right? That was a joke. That was yeah. I don't know. Mixed opinions. Comfort, distinctly average all around, and you'll see why there's not as many negative ones because it's mostly dismissive. And maybe I'm over abusing that tag, but whatever. Comfort is distinctly average all around. Okay, middling opinion, got it. Karma Sayuki, one of the silliest pieces of anime erotica, and one of the happiest. This actually got me kind of curious. It's still a hentai, so I'm not interested, and I'm not gonna look it up like on stream or whatever. But it really was. It was like, and one of the happiest. Everyone looks like they're having a good time. Even the tentacles are happy, and it's like, huh? I kind of like that. I mean, yeah, you know, I think one of the main reasons I don't check out any hentai, besides the fact that none of it would titillate me, would be that just that, like, it's all really mean-spirited and, like, has shitty things happen in it for the sake of sex. So, like, it just seems all really distasteful to me. But that at least sounds like, well, I mean, I like a good time. I like being happy. So maybe that happiness is infectious type of deal. I don't know. But not enough. Anyway, that was like the way they were describing it. I was like, I can't tell if this is really positive or just like matter of fact, you know? But it's still an opinion, I think. Kasumine. Yeah, so Build one of the this is funny because it's the anime that Build has talked about before. Let me just give you visuals real quick. It's this show. You know, I've seen it around. It's like, oh yeah. I've been interested in checking that out. They said it's. Do I have that on the? Yeah. They said slapstick, candy-colored fun ensues with highly stylized characters that often look more like Pokemon than people. Jeez. Yeah, I guess. Like, and then I saw some of the characters, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it. That's pretty funny. That is pretty fucking funny. But, you know, whatever. With Kasumi, wish Kasumi was fully subbed. Build my beloved. Yeah, I know. Looking forward to when it gets subbed. Good to see you, Hayden. Me. Kate ni Kaizo. By the way, Hayden, they liked Kobuto. They were a fan. They said about Kobuto, animation by Madhouse was utterly gorgeous, worthy of attention. You bought the Encyclopedia too, actually, so you probably knew that already. Because you probably looked at that already. Like, what did they say about Kobuto? Come on. Kasumi, it's a fun little show. So they don't like Umakoshi? What did I say about Doremi or Cash Earn? I don't think I say much about Cash Earn, and then Doremi, I'm pretty sure I've seen it before, but Doremi, they pretty much They don't know shit about. I don't. Let me search Umakoshi and if they have an article about Umakoshi. No, so they don't. I'm gonna have to really go into the fucking. I'm gonna go into like the staff that they mention. They give individual articles for it. They have a lot for K, but a lot of them are just like, I've never heard of this guy, you know. And then I want to use that to see like, how did they come up with this group? How did they choose? I have a feeling that they chose the people that they made individual articles for based on if they mention them in an article elsewhere. I think that may have been the deciding factor, but I don't know for sure. But Umakoshi, I don't think they really make any mention of it. But Magical Doremi, Marianga, Magical Doremi, yeah. This child-oriented variant on Sailor Moon features an innovative crayon and watercolor backgrounds in the style of children's books. The third season, which began in 2001, transforms the girls' magic shop into a bakery and introduces a funny American, Momoko, who only speaks halting Japanese. The show was created by Toei in-house pseudonym Izumi Todo, who was also credited with a similar precure. Although the series finished in 2004 with a shorter video spin-off, it continued in prose form with Midori Kuriyama's novella Odramaja Doremi 16, charting the lead's progress at high school. They hadn't seen it. Don't really have an opinion on it. Cashern. Yeah, I don't think they really said much about. I think Sins. I don't know. Let me double check that, I guess. A 24-episode reboot that commences with the world in a post-apocalyptic state after a robot revolution that has supplanted humankind, or rather a post-apocalyptic state, with the Earth succumbing to corrosive poisons unleashed during the conflict, and a repentant Cashern ruining the day that he followed his robot ruler's orders and seemingly killed Luna. The story progresses through a series of thorny ethical sci-fi confrontations, not the least being that the suggestion that Luna's great innovation was the perfection of immortality treatments, and that the robots rose up in protest at the likely environmental costs of an eternally expanding human population. Okay. I didn't really say much about it. The animation in Kobato is very pretty. I wish 4K didn't dub Doremi. Their dub was too watered down to appeal to anyone. I still don't think it would have actually made any. I still don't think it would have actually crossed over in the States. It's too cutesy. No, this animates long hair so well. Only about a dozen or so episodes of Kasumi that have been subbed. I didn't know it was that few. She also looks beautiful. Wow, bad Momoko take. I know. It was just sort of like, whatever. Roommate's got people over if you hear that, so apologies. Not apologies, whatever. Back to the mixed. Where was I? Kate ni Kaizo. It's reminiscent of Ping Pong Club, but with prettier characters. Shaft also animated Shimbo's Arakawa, and it's interesting to compare the two works. But they end the article of like, it's interesting to compare the two works. But they don't say why or how. Like, okay. Cool. Opinion, I guess. Kitty Grade. This is a weird one, because they kind of were back and forth on whether they liked it or not. A thing of beauty, but not an earthshaker. And the dark undertow of sensuality never quite comes good. Or should that be bad? They're so back and forth on it. It's like weird. Koihime Muso. Merely a backdrop for girls fighting, girls drinking, girls dressing and undressing, Dogakobo rendered them in such cute, bright vivacity that the relatively limited animation is less annoying than it might have been. Alright. More of a mixed opinion, I guess. Slightly more negative, but alright. Kurenai. A well-made, very convincing show with little traditional fan service. Instead, it focuses on incest and grooming. All right, sure. It's like, geez. Just a weird way of putting it. And then they don't elaborate. Doesn't elaborate. Leaves. There's a lot of that in this. Kurokame. Hard to tell whether the plot is twisting or unraveling, so it's hard to care. This is a pity. Animation is mostly good. It's a missed opportunity. Dang. Kutsuki Boshi. Few plot twists that old anime hands may see coming. Rather more shocking and less gentle than Kiss for the Lips. And Kyoso Giga. I should probably talk about this one right now. The OVAs only. Ultimately frustrating. One of those charming curiosities with much unfulfilled potential. So you're thinking, wait a minute. Kyoso Giga came out, what? Fall 2013? Yeah, fall 2013. 10 episodes. That probably should have gone under the radar, yeah? More than that, yes. Because as you remember, Kill la Kill, fall 2013. But not only that, they spoil Kill la Kill. They have varied descriptions of later events, including describing how there's like the finale is like a 5-part finale. So they described and watched the finale. You know, the finale that aired in winter 2014? Because it's a 2-core? So, how come they have absolutely no mention of the Kyoso Giga TV series? Like, they completely missed it. It came out in fall 2013. They should have seen it. I can't believe they missed it. That was just so bizarre. Why spoil? You beat me, Greg. Beats me. But boy, is there a fucking update on the spoiler section. Boy, did they do something that I got completely fucking can't believe it. Can't fucking believe it. Let's go. Isn't Koihime Muso based on a series of fighting games? The name sounds familiar to me. I'm not sure. But we'll get to that spoiler part in a second. Dismissive. Well, you could probably see it. Anime getting spoiled, series getting spoiled before it's over is nothing new, even for non-manga adaptations. I guess, but you want to be talking about it in the context of an encyclopedia. You know? Why are you describing it to the point of spoilers? Right? What's the point of that? If it's to give a certain context or something, like, this is important we spoil this because we have to talk about its historical significance or something. If you have a reason to do it, okay, then what's the reason? But if there's no reason, if you're just describing the whole fucking thing, why? Why are you doing it? I don't know. Especially for people that want to see those series for themselves. Why do they have to avoid your article on it? Like, how do they know any anime could be spoiled by this if there's so many of them that get spoiled? You know? Getting spoiled before it's over is nothing new. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm really not sure what you mean, though. And you can be as sensitive to spoilers as you want, right? I'm not that sensitive to spoilers. There is some that I am. I have a threshold. But, like, I don't get it. These encyclopedias to get people to watch stuff, and they spoil so many anime. Right. And sometimes the spoiler, like, can get people to watch something, maybe. But that's a fine line. And you can't just assume that for everybody. Oh, no, you'll want to watch the show once I tell you the spoiler. You can't just assume that. Anyway. I'll get to the spoiler thing in a second. Okay. Overpopulated cast, immensely confusing, oh so edgy singular title makes it hard to Google. Alright. They don't necessarily, like, word it as, like, hard to Google, but they make a whole elaborate thing. It's like, insert a search engine, whatever. And that one I just thought was more dismissive because it was just, like, it was so blunt and quick. I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't feel as negative as much as it was just like, oh yeah, God, fuck this show for naming itself K and that's it. You know, that's just what it came off to me as. But half the time they spoil series they dislike. No, right. And so I actually had this wonder. I actually had this observation about spoilers that I'll go over in a sec. K is fun. Spoilers don't affect enjoyment, but it's not cool. Yeah. Kana Memo. All prettily inconsequential except for the constant sexual overtones. Molestation and sexual grooming are just as tasteless within one gender as across both. The whole molestation and aggression, like, they described what this show was, and I did not think it would have that, and then they just dropped that at the end. It's like, wait, what? Where did that come? Wait, what? They have that? What happened? What happened? You know, it's weird. Its name is one letter, so it's bad. They gave a little more than that, right? But you can clearly tell that irks them the most, I think. Kanagi. It's Oh My Goddess with less interesting story and much poorer art. Kanokon. Not enough to make this reheated mess of harem leftovers interesting. I hate when they're being indulgent about their creative writing and shit. Just to fucking diss at anime. Like, when you want to be like clever in your writing, use it to lift something up. You know? Tearing shit down and trying to be like, I don't know, flowery with your language is just like obnoxious, in my opinion. Canon. They tore into canon. As if it were not enough of a nod to Love Hina, impact of the sad endings is lessened considerably in this anime version. Difficult to care about what happens to any of them. I think they were just numb to it because of its origin. As, you know, say it with me, kids, based on an erotic dating simulation game. Man. Relentless. Kakaishi. By the numbers boy show. The kind Sunrise has been doing for years. Nothing exceptional. Kiba. Cliche-ridden boys show. Legal battle was far more entertaining, educational, and gripping than the series itself. To anime encyclopedists, at least. I guess that was interesting when they were describing it. But, like, that's so rude. Or just disrespectful to the crowd. And I get it, like, they were like, aha, they were made to cash in on this thing. Oh, yeah, anime fucking trying to get its work back on investment. It's money back on investment with tie-ins, because that's how they fucking fund these things, because it's expensive. You know, I actually listened to Hideo Kojima and Mamoroshi's interview together, part 1, that got dubbed on Spotify. So I listened to it this morning, and Oshi makes that point where anime is, he doesn't say this explicitly, but he's just like, you know, anyone can just publish a book. You know, like that, the materials are there for you. Sound design is surprisingly easy to do because you can just go out and collect sound. Animation you have to physically make, and it's expensive to do it. So, and in live actions, like, you can just, you know, there's stuff to it, obviously, but, like, it's way cheaper than anime, basically. Ironic, right? Because there's some situations like Perfect Blue that's actually cheaper to do an animated film than do a live action movie. Beats me, man. But the creators of Canon only put the H scene in to get funding. They don't care. Guess they don't care. Oh well. I think that exact same thing happened with Kite, right? And they were just like, yeah, you gotta look at the cover. Yep. That's not. They're more interested in titillating you than telling a compelling story. Yeah, but I want to go over Kiba because I never heard this story before, and I do think it is additive and valuable, and I'm happy they brought it up. But to just say that, like, that's more interesting than the show itself, it's like, come on. Let me give like the show its credit and actually give you the thing that it's about as well. So let's go over and check it out. Kiba from 2006. Not too badly rated, all things considered. I've seen a lot worse things rated. A lot of things that they actually like that was worse rated on Mal. Zed, a young outlaw in a dystopian urban future, stumbling into a gateway to the verdant natural world of Templar, where he nurtures his newfound abilities as a shard caster, using his magical spirit to protect his new home from the invading hordes of the Dark Saimot Empire. His friend Noah also arrives in this new world, but chooses a different and more forbidding path for his own nascent sorceress powers. Conceived as an advert for a collectible card game, this cliché-ridden boys' show would have come and gone without incident were it not for its commissioning and impressive 51-episode run on the cusp of the mid-noughties slump in anime revenues. While the series came to an uncelebrated end after a single calendar year, it erupted into a far more exciting legal battle between two of the producers, with Aniplex suing the American card company Upper Deck over non-payment of funds. Upper Deck counterclaimed that Aniplex had disregarded many production directives, delivering an age-inappropriate, violent cartoon, unsuitable for the target audience of preteen boys. Notably, none of this dispute arose publicly until after the series had finished, suggesting that matters might have been self-solving if the franchise had proved to be a runaway hit. And not yet another also ran in the year of anime's historic production peak. The conflict eventually resolved in Aniplex's favor, led to a public disclosure of the kinds of figures and considerations that go into creating a multimedia anime franchise, making the finger pointing after Kiba's finale far more long-running, entertaining, educational, and gripping than the series itself, to anime encyclopedists at least. Arguably, it also marked the true end of the late 20th century boom in foreign funding for anime. The end of the late 20th century boom in foreign funding for anime, until another boom happened. Confronting overseas investors with the true difficulties of whipping up a new Pokemon out of thin air, and the Japanese with the litigious nature of the American entertainment business when producers feel they have been gypped. A different kind of legal tangle, just as interesting, arose around the same time on RGB Adventure. This show does not deserve... I don't think any anime deserves to be talked about more about its, legal shit than about the art itself. You know what I mean? I that's just my perspective, I think. I think it's important to bring that stuff up, because there is things we can learn, for sure. But, I don't know, give the art the credit and respect they deserve. Aniplex's own, the whole source of that, right, is that Aniplex is, demanding that they get paid for it. That, there's non-payment of funds. They deserve to be compensated for the art that they did. And that art should be respected, right? I don't know if I'm being, high preaching or high and mighty when I'm saying that, but, yeah. Let me see that chat. The Fate series does the same. It's why the sex scenes are so bad. But foreign countries still fund anime. Frosty's existence is because of foreign funding. Frosty's existence? You mean Frosty the Snowman from the 60s? I agree. It still happens till today. Literally just now with Cyberpunk 2077, which was a success. An actual hey, people are loving this. But they make it sound like just because they do this makes it bad. You know what I mean? Any art, whether it's original or based on a game, or based on something, or trying to be a multimedia franchise, it still comes down to the artistic intent. It still comes down to the artistic intent and execution. There's no disqualifying art because of its basis, of the basis of which it was made. I don't think. I think it's good to understand that context. It shouldn't be erased, but it should not be dismissed. That's what I feel. I mean that foreign anime funding wasn't some mid-2000s fad. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, even Astro Boy, right? Like they were able to partially fund it through NBC. Kickheart. It would be otherwise unremarkable were it not for the groundbreaking logistics behind the production. Really? I heard pretty good things about Kickheart, even besides the whole like crowdfunding thing on Kickstarter. And they have a fucking take on that thing. I'll get to that with Odd Choices. It's like, come on, dude. My roommate was passing donuts because it's the autumn equinox. I think Kimbo was the anime funded by NBC Knives. I imagine both, but I distinctly remember I actually put that in my You Should Buy Anime video. That's literally how they were able to fund Astro Boy. And there's a quote that I put in there. That NBC Universal, yeah. It might be a different TV station maybe, but I'm pretty sure it was that. I had a lot of fun with Edge Runners. Too bad Netflix anime almost never get BDs. Almost none. Carol and Tuesday just got announced for a physical release by Sentai. So that's promising. It only took them 4 years. No, Carol and Tuesday was 2020, wasn't it? I thought it was 2018. Carol and... It's 2019. Sheesh. Okay, that's a while. That was a while ago. Okay. Anyway, that was weird. Otherwise unremarkable. Like, come on. Don't be dismissive of that. I hear good things about that one. Kimiki's Pure Rouge. Splitting the MC into two doesn't actually add much. So, like, at first they give it a compliment, because they're just like, yeah, fucking dating simulation with one MC is boring. So they tried to mix it up by splitting the MC into two characters. But then they just say, oh, it still didn't make it interesting. I'm like, at this point, you just don't like the genre. Like, stop complaining about it at that point. Don't actually add much depth to the plot. Cookie cutter characters get into cookie cutter situations. And unless you're addicted to the game or to high school romance anime in general, there isn't much to hold your attention. And maybe I'm being a little high and mighty, right? Because I wouldn't go out of my way to check this stuff out. But I'm not watching everything. You know? That's the difficulty. They're trying to like experience and check out as much of stuff as possible and understand so they can get their take on it or something. Even though there's certain instances where it feels like they have not seen it at all. And they try to give their judgment on it despite not seeing it. And they kind of completely misjudge it. But, you know, neither here nor there. But, like, yeah, I'm not going to check it out, but, like, not because of its execution. I'm personally just not that interested in it. But I still would go out my way to defend it because I don't like any anime being talked about like this. Even the most, like, repugnant hentai, whatever, right? Let them exist. Let them be what they are. I don't know. Let them be. And, like, also, again, belittling the fans. It's like, unless you're addicted to... Like, if you're a fan of the show, you must be either addicted to the game or addicted to high school romance anime in general. Come on. Good evening. Almost missed Surprise Thursday stream. Victor, you'd be happy to know, or maybe not so happy, but, you know, your theory's proving more correct by the day. Canon is based on an erotic dating simulation game. I read that, I was like, oh, yep, Victor will be like, ding. Like, once again. I agree, Shabes. That's good shit. Yeah, that's why I said almost. But didn't Sentai announce Aizukin home video, like, forever ago? Still no word on that. Oh, yeah. Dang. I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk anime saved the game's reputation, as that game became a punchline due to the company lying about non-existent features and launching broken. Yeah. Funny how it can do that. Now they're launching DLC along with the game. It's pretty impressive. Pretty good move. They're like, wait, it's great. Can't believe I walk in and the first thing I see them dunking on VN adaptations. I know. Once again. Yeah. Kirarin Revolution. So before I forget about this is kind of interesting. This is like kind of a nonsense, I'll probably, sorry if this messes up the VOD or something, but I just want to remember this one tidbit because I was looking up, I ran into Kirarin Revolution in a different context before I read their article on it, because when I was looking up Kawaii Jenny, for some reason, I wanted to look it up because, so I wanted to look it up because they were like, unlike Liga-chan, it's not aimed solely at 6 to 11-year-olds. The episodes ran far past their bedtime. Adults watch TV at 1:40 a.m. when little girls are fast asleep. I just don't like that wording. Don't say that. It's just like, basking in the warm glow of nostalgia, milked by shows like Chibi Maruko-chan. Which, for the record, Maruko-chan was not one of those midnight shows. It aired at 6 p.m. But I kind of get what they mean, almost. But then anyway, it was like, okay, wait. So when the Kawaii Jenny air? And I look up Kawaii Jenny, right? And where's the mal of that? What? Oh, it's a tokusatsu puppet series. That's not anime. And that caught me, wait. So I was like, that's weird. But the reason I bring that up, with regards to Kirarin Revolution, is that I was like, wait, is this anime? Oh, what's that? Kawaii Jenny. Oh, okay. Is that Kawaii Jenny? I guess it's an anime technically. Well, that's weird. What's this other thing then? Oh, so I reverse image search. It's not. This isn't Kawaii Jenny. It's this other show. Now, what's the name of the show? Kirarin Revolution. Oh, would you look at that? Completely different fucking anime. Okay. Weird for Crunchyroll to just have this entry for some reason. There's nothing else here. 19,000 page views, I guess. 19 fans. Like, what? 2 episodes produced in 2007. It's like, oh. But then you're like, wait, that's not anime. And it is animated. It is actually technically anime because it's Japanese and it's animated. And they make that argument in a third article. So this was kind of a satisfying read, if I'm being honest. Let me read some more chat. But it's because they what made this interesting was that they do consider puppet animation anime, but they exclude all puppet and stop motion in the first edition. They say it's. I was like, there's something about that in the first. And yes, their introduction, stop motion and animation and puppetry, also often filed with anime in Japanese sources, have also been left out. They specifically left that stuff out. But there is a article about this particular collection of puppetry by this guy Kihachi Kawamoto Filmworks, and they say in that article, which I thought was pretty good, it may be Japanese and animated, but it is often a world away from what the mainstream often conceives as anime. So this, along with Kawaii Jenny, was like, oh, so they are concluding puppets in this third edition. Okay, cool. And that's the whole that drama. But then like Kirarin Revolution somehow got roped into that because I saw a GIF of it that was attached to it for some reason. Let me read the chat a little bit because I saw Bob's here. Good seeing you. The game's concurrent population has recovered sustainability since the anime dropped. Yeah. I read Red Canon being compared to Love Hina, and I'm already close to having a brain aneurysm. Mm-hmm. And they're having close to having a conniption because K-On! Has 2 exclamation points in its second season. Oh, we're gonna get conniptions apparently. Oh man, what they said about K-On!, y'all should have been here. I don't know if the YouTube stream can rewind, but like in the first 10-15 minutes we go over K-On!, it's like, oh boy howdy. Oh. They're just as objectified as porn victims, apparently, in K-On! And Haruhi Suzumiya. Wait, what did they say about Kaze no Yojimbo? They didn't say much. I think they described it and they didn't really give an opinion on it. Let me see. Yojimbo. I do remember reading that article though. Yeah. Like Samurai 7. Oh, actually they do have something that was kind of funny. This is actually really funny, Bob. Like Samurai 7, I hope you're still here. Like Samurai 7, this anime relocates and refashions the action of a Kurosawa movie. In this case, the divided town of Yojimbo. However, the running time of a TV series offers the potential for a much slower pace and far more depth than the movie's simple parable, introducing local legends about demons that may refer to forgotten contacts with foreigners, and an ever-widening conspiracy with ties to the top that has more in common, not with the movie, but with the 1961 Yojimbo TV series. Considering that it is set in modern times and runs 6 times as long, one wonders why anyone should bother to play up the connections to Kurosawa at all. You brought it up! You brought up Kurosawa! What are you talking about? This fucking paragraph started with, like Samurai 7, this anime relocates and refashions the action of a Kurosawa movie, in this case, the divided town of Yojimbo. And then the end of this paragraph, you say, considering it's set in modern times and runs 6 times as long, one wonders why anyone should bother to play up the connections to Kurosawa at all. You just did. You literally just did. Am I crazy? What the fuck? That's so contradictory. I can't believe it. I could not understand it. I'm like, what is that? What do you mean? I don't mind you talking about Kurosawa or not, but pick one. I'm like, was that literally written by 2 different people? What is going on? It's so funny. Cyberpunk is just another example of why I don't pre-order Western developed games. Considering Edge Runner's success, I wonder if more video game companies will try this multi. Yeah, I haven't bought a light game at launch at years. I haven't bought a game in a long time. Period. Kiriri in my childhood. Oh yeah, they were saying how it's weird that it's in so many countries and it's like popular, but it's not in English. To be fair, Mal used to be fairly lax about puppet animation for a while and recently made new rules. Went and deleted a bunch of those. Wow, really? I tend to have more faith in Japanese companies not delivering broken products. For example, the JoJo game was perfectly polished. Did this air on TV where you live? Yeah, when I was little. It's more about me sinking my money into anime Blu-rays instead these days. Need to get back into games. Give me conniptions too. Yeah. I just remember everyone hyping up Cyberpunk, and for me, it's gonna underdeliver. I just didn't realize how broken it'd be. It's like 2 people wrote a sentence without communicating. Yeah, seriously. Yojimbo means... It's like they forgot. Like, you write a paragraph for a script, and like, you write it, and then you contradict yourself later because you change your mind as you wrote it. But they just left this in. They just left it in. Like, oh, no. You mean Yojimbo means bodyguard. Yeah, but there's a thing in the anime where it's 2 gangs on each side of the town, similar to Yojimbo. That's the only similarity. Yeah, and I don't mind them bringing that. They do that all the time. They don't have to. There was one show, I don't remember what it was, where it's Tenchi Muyo crashed into Sailor Moon. And it's like, that sounds like a totally different show then. Because, those are fundamentally different experiences. So, and also, Sailor Moon, you could also say is just, Sally the Witch crashed into Sentai, Super Sentai. Sure, there's things that create new things. That's a new thing that you just made. Give the fucking show its credit then. I don't know. But yeah, that was hysterical. Oh, there's so many things about this. There is definitely a lot more to this, and I always downplay the streams, but it's always a good time. They never disappoint. I just forget about some of these too. I write them down, and then I get appalled about the next thing, and I completely forget about that other shit that they did. Oh, there's gonna be so much of that when I go back to watch and document all of this stuff. I am documenting it, but like really like sample it. This is what I'm gonna mention. This I'm gonna mention. You know, instead of being like out of a molehill. So some of these are not that big of a deal. Yeah, success is not due. So Curie and Evolution, they dismiss it. The success is not due to originality, clever plotting, good writing, or fast-paced action. But not that there was going to be fast-paced action in a fucking Idol show. Why would you bring that up? But there's always a market for fluffy musical romances packed with wish fulfillment. This kind of undemanding show has the same nostalgia value as Maruko-chan. All right. Can't you just say that it's good for all audiences? Like little girls. Like it seems like Alice grew up watching this and she enjoyed it. Like you can say that the people like her were able to enjoy it as a young kid, as well as the older. Like, doesn't that mean that the show has more broader appeal? And like that's actually kind of a good thing. Just because an adult can enjoy something, there must be something insidious or like, oh, like a gotcha. Like, adults can enjoy this kids show. Suspicious. It's like, or that's fine. I don't know. Whatever. I don't get nostalgia for fucking Ojimajou Doremi. You know what I mean? Like, no, I just like it because it's funny, cute, and like makes me emotional, and feels like it's a very fulfilling kind of show as well. I don't know. Bro, why call me out like that? I mean, yeah. Night in the Area. It's Touch, set in a different sport, and not nearly as good as the original. See what I mean? Like that language, just because something was made first. They can make their own fucking show. I really annoyed every single time they boil it down to it. It's this other show. When they describe it and it's like, yeah, I can see what you mean if you know Touch and you're describing the plot of this. Yeah, it sounds like they've seen, like it's a sports series and the brothers and sure. But like give them the fucking chance to execute it in somewhat of a different, and they seem to have watched it at least because they have more to say about it. But like they said sometimes downright embarrassing. I don't know. Whatever, man. I'd love to hear their opinion on Aikatsu. Oh boy, yeah. I agree. I think it's too new. Let me double check. But yeah, they would absolutely say something like that about fucking Aikatsu. Daikatsu, Gaikatsu, Daikatsubi. Yep, nope. Nothing about Aikatsu. Oh well. These people sound like such killjoys. Like they would complain about Dragon Ball Z not being as intelligent as Lane when they're two completely different types of shows. Yeah. Koi Koi 7. Yeah. Tenji Muyo crashed into Sailor Moon. That is how they start the article. Before they even tell you what it's about. Like, come on. Let me actually give you that. Let me give that to the show. Fucking Koi Koi 7. Let's check it out. Alright. Let me just look up their article on it. Tenchi Muyo crashed into Sailor Moon. As average teenager, Tetsuro Tanaka transfers to a new school where he foolishly refuses to believe that the largely female classroom population will make much trouble. Instead, he finds himself on the run from a series of military attacks and defended by a mystical group of schoolgirl warriors called the Koi Koi 7, although they are initially only 6 of them. Based on a manga by blah 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 blah. Made barely tolerable by a constant barrage of anime parodies and cliches, including references to, most notably, Evangelion and Gundam. Like, alright. Let the thing be what it is, I guess. Also, just like, you know, I don't know. I get it. Also, it's not very well liked by it's like, sure. Mixed feelings, not recommended, yeah, like, I get it. But, the thing is, right, I would want every single one of these to have the proper attention and respect that that making it so anime is hard to make. Just in general, I could never make one, you know, and I don't want to accuse. I don't want to accuse or they can make one. I don't know. They work really hard and they clearly give a shit. They really do like this stuff. And it's like just because they don't make it doesn't mean they can't talk about it or something. I don't say that. I talk about anime all the time. But and I have my opinions. I didn't think that Dougram was all that good by the end, which is unfortunate, you know? And I can have my opinion on that. And they can have their opinion on their thing. But it's just, I would want each one to have the respect and attention that it deserves. And that's nearly impossible to do with just two people. Flat out. Just not a thing. They have help. They list plenty of people in their help, and there could have been other articles written by other people or something. And of course, there's plenty of ways that if there's more people, like, the more it could be like gone out of hand or whatever. But like, where there's like people are just making shit up to gas up their show or something. But like, I don't know. I just find it not very feasible, and that's okay. It's an ideal. It's an idealistic thing. I'd love to hear their I don't like how they go after things for being wish fulfillment. Yeah, I get it. It's a very common critique, I think, of judging something for being wish fulfillment. But like, yeah, they're really not one to judge, I think. Plus, there's plenty of things that are not intending to be wish fulfillment that themselves can be wish fulfillment. The people can take out of anything they want. They can take anything out of media however they want, however they see fit. Ghost in the Shell can be wish fulfillment. Because they want to see themselves in a cybernetic universe like that or something. Or just like they want to be like Makoto Kusanagi or something. Anybody can find any... I'm not trying to make up a boogeyman or straw man or something. I really do believe that. That anybody can take any positive or negative thing out of a show or out of an anime, whatever they want. It's fine to have opinions, but I wouldn't write a script for a 500 view with some of the things they say. But they've published a book about it and do it to countless anime. Yeah. Yeah, there are some things that are just like pretty embarrassing to just publish in a book, I think. And not even just mistakes. Like, I'm not making fun of them for mistakes or something. Although, there are some things like, oh my god, I can't believe they... whatever. But just like, it mostly has to do with their tone and the substance they're writing with, basically. The approach. Anywho. Quicker 7. Koiken. Forgettable internet-based series for mobile phones. K-On! With idol singers. I just wanted to do this, and again, I'm sorry, like, every single one I've been just, like, really hammering on, I guess. And, I will fully admit, there's so many articles that are fine. That are nothing of note. That they don't really say anything weird. They're perfectly fine, to my knowledge. Right? The thing is, right, there's so many... I'm catching a lot of this stuff because I just either stumble across it because I do my own research, or I know about that show already. And I'm like, why did they say that about that show? Right? But I don't know all anime. So there's plenty of... I could read their whole thing on Chrono Crusade and just be like, yeah, seems fine to me. Because I haven't seen Chrono Crusade. I don't know what's weird about it because I don't have any frame of reference. But like fucking Koiken, right? Read this. Tell me if this sounds like K-On! To you. Kaide, the chairman of the Love Research Club, K-On!, rashly observes that becoming an idol singer must be easy, thereby insulting hardworking idol singer Nagisa. She challenges Kaide and the other girls to experience an idol singer's tough life firsthand in this forgettable internet-based series for mobile phones, K-On! With idol singers. It's also 12 4-minute episodes. Not really too much to go off of, really. But, like, even just that premise, it's like, no, there's a lot of different dynamics at play. That's not the same thing as K-On! It's just lacking that nuance, right? That's just like, on the last one, you gotta hand it to them for putting on this last one over here. At least in this dismissive category. Somewhere in Kokoro Library's past is a creator's decision that anime don't need to be about conflict and danger to be interesting, but this is neither Human Crossing nor My Neighbor Totoro. Oh. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't realize. So just because it's not as good as these other shows that you like, that just, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm making a big deal out of it, but it's just like, just, it's not going. I haven't seen this show before. I don't know what you're fucking talking. I am interested in it now because the way to describe it is just like, wow. It just sounds really different, you know? I'll read the whole thing. Let me get the visual for it too. Boy, this is gonna be a 3-hour stream if I've ever seen one. That's what Thursday does to you. Thursday hits different. Kokoro Library. Wait, no way. This is Library Wars. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. I just checked the No, this is a show from 2001. This is from 2008. It's not the same thing. Kokoro. I'm gonna look at the Japanese. Kokoro Toshokan. Okay, yeah, it's this one. Okay. All right. Sisters Ina, Aruto, and Kokoro inherit a library in the middle of the mountains and fret that they will never get enough customers. Youngest sister Kokoro is pleased that someone takes out a book on her first day, but when it isn't returned, she discovers that the customer has moved away. She decides to take a bus to a faraway town in search of the errant borrower, only to be prevented by her sisters Ina and Aruto, who reveal that the book has just been returned by mail. Only the first of a series of prosaic miracles in the style of Tokyo Godfathers. Kokoro Library is a bizarre mixture of the maid's clothing fad with the bookish goings-on of Whisper of the Heart or Haibane Renmei, complete with a sappy, soporifically soothing soundtrack. A later episode introduces a robot librarian, but otherwise the show is relentlessly slow, compared to the excitement of director Masumi's earlier ROD. Somewhere in Kokoro Library's past is a creator's decision that anime don't need to be about conflict and danger to be interesting, but this is neither Human Crossing nor My Neighbor Totoro. Pretty the girls may be, but it is difficult to warm to characters who get excited about holding committee meetings to discuss their outreach strategy. Based on a manga by Nobuyuki Takagi in Dengeki Dio magazine. The video special, blah, 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 blah. Their description really was interesting, I think. That does sound really different. Recommended. This guy's usually really tough, actually. And he's got he's still active, which is great. I've seen a ton. I've seen a lot of reviews. Yeah, he's had over 200 reviews. So, I mean, that's impressive for him to be recommending it. An 8. Wow. No. Where meaninglessness is allowed to run amok to this extreme degree. What do you give it? 1 out of 10. Technically good. Oh yeah, it's a 1. Sorry, don't need to roast this guy. I don't know. That was really interesting. But then there's no Human Crossing or My Neighbor Totoro. Like, come on. I rewrote my Katara script 4 times, knowing that I'd be lucky to convince 20 people to watch it. It's all about doing good work, no matter what it is. Yeah, Bob. It's just I'm so happy you're doing that. Because at least it satiates people's curiosity. Because people have heard about Kataro. A lot of Westerners have. But they just don't have any frame of reference, you know? And it's not even just knowing about it in general. It's hearing what you have to say about it. Giving your perspective and your tastes and your observations about it. And getting it any platform at all is interesting, you know? And I'm happy you're being as thorough. 40 fucking minutes? It's awesome. I'm just looking forward to that a lot, really, and I'm impressed that you really went out of your way to really try that. And I say try because you didn't really watch all of it, and that's okay. You're taking what I learned that lesson, not to watch absolutely everything of a massive franchise. You really don't have to. You really should just be watching the stuff that you're interested in. But I am excited to be to hear from your perspective of Actually, '07 I think is the best one. Or like whatever. Or it's like, yeah, they're all kind of similar. You know, I've heard some nuance in places. I think like the '80s one seems to have the best animation, but there's stuff like that, right? I'm really interested and excited to hear about that. And it's not even about me convincing. Like, yeah, I would probably still watch them eventually. I don't know if it's gonna be your video that does that, but it's like, it still satiates that curiosity. It's really interesting. Looking at the screen, I'm somewhat shocked they did not dunk harder on Kutsukeboshi. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not familiar with Kutsukeboshi, but let me say what they. It's also just what I wrote about it, right? Yeah, they basically don't say anything. This Girls Love anime has a few plot twists that old anime heads may see coming, especially those who remember the Cream Lemon Ami episodes, and is rather more shocking and less gentle than Kiss for those lips. Yeah, that's all I say about it. Bennett has a similar mentality of it's not as good as the show I like, so it sucks. It's all over his Macros Plus review. He likes Macros, he just disses a bunch of other titles hyping it. Ugh. You know, yeah, pushing other shows down. It's like, watch this one. I get it, and I've probably done it in the past, but like, not a good look. I wish someone would translate the Katara Metroidvania game for the GBA. It looks fun. Maybe Bob's retrospective will convince someone to translate it. That'd be cool. Yeah. Fellas, I think I hear anime in the other room. I could be wrong. Spoilers, I finally get to this. Dudes, this is next level. So I'm reading Kaleido Star's article, and they do spoil something. Where it's like, after much conflict, this thing happens, and I'm like, I wish you didn't spoil that, but I get it. I could kind of have seen that coming. That's like a spoiler that's like, that makes sense. Sure, that's probably where the story was going anyway. Anime's surprise twist. Parentheses. Sorry, you don't even have the screen on. Look away now. Look away now? In a book that I'm reading? I'm just gonna gloss my eyes over the paragraph that you wrote? It's like 2 or 3 sentences or something. I'm not gonna show it on screen, obviously. I didn't read it. So now I can't, unless I watch Kaleido Star first, I can't technically say that I've read the whole encyclopedia. Because I did skip that. Because I don't want to get angry at these guys for spoiling me to Kaleido Star, and then they have the excuse of, oh, we said not to look. Beyond that, though, now, you decide, of all times, after you've been spoiling countless other anime, to be like, look away now. That was an option this whole time. You can't do that. You can't fucking do that. Are you kidding me? I was so baffled by this. I actually knocked over my plate. I knocked over this fucking small plate that I use, and it shattered in like 100 pieces. I'll never forget that. I was like, what happened to that plate that I used for 2 or 3 years? That was like a really useful plate for me. Not like a favorite or anything, but just like, you know, really useful. It's something you use every day. Oh yeah, I knocked it over when I was appalled that they tried to spoil Kaleido Star and caveat it with, look away now. The audacity. And again, maybe I'm overreacting, right? Oh. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm going to read the chat a little bit. Kutsubok is a 2-episode OVA. It was a weird mix of softer Yuri and something that feels like a Shinkai film. Huh. I didn't know it looked like a Shinkai film. I was playing the Kid Org OVA game. It's pretty fun. Don't like the remote control sandal controls, though. Ha. Well, no. I only played it for a few minutes because I know I'll get stuck without a translation, but there's similar PS1 games if you're interested. I can only find the PS1 fighting game, which sucks. That's great. I can't believe that. I'll never let them down for that. And I guess now it's more of an incentive than ever to actually watch Kaleidostar. I'll actually get to it now, like sooner than I might have, so that at least sometime during this project, so that I can actually go back and read that paragraph, so I can say that I've read the whole encyclopedia. And again, I don't want to read it, because I can't be angry at them for spoiling it. If they said, "But we said, look away now. We warned you." Why the hell weren't you using that anywhere else? Why was that an option? Why are you doing this at all? You didn't need to spoil it. You really didn't. You read it. I literally skimmed over that because I didn't read the thing, and the rest of the article reads fine. I'm not even, they keep describing it and give you a review of it. You didn't need to spoil it. I'm cutting my losses with the video games. Too much and too little to gain. I know, right? Gotta draw a line somewhere, man. You're going farther than me with Lupin. I didn't even watch the live-action movies. I wonder if there's live-action movies for Kitaro. Probably. Kitaro doesn't have a fighting game. I think you're mixing it up with this horror fighting game. I forgot the name. The Kitaro creator did the character designs for. Oh. Yeah. Spoilers for Kihaichiro Kawamoto films. They just describe all 11 shorts like they usually do with these sorts of articles. Kill la Kill, they do describe vague descriptions of later events, like, oh, this happens. I'm like, I didn't technically know that. Great. A 5-episode finale. All right. King of Bandit Jing, not that big of a deal. It's just final sequence finds Jing, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that happens. But it doesn't feel like a big spoiler. It's just like, oh, they say what happens at the end. That's a spoiler. Regardless of, I don't know. King of Thorn does not have a spoiler. Here, I wanted to write this because they say it's a climactic twist and ending, picks up on clues seeded early, and resolves in a way you may not expect. You could have said that at any of these other points where you do spoil the fucking thing. And so I'm like, did they spoil anime because they didn't respect them? I think I was alluding to that earlier. So they were like, oh, they spoil things that they dislike. They also spoil things that they do like, to be fair. Such as Kaleidostar. But I was wondering if some of these reviews where they spoil something is a kind of way of weaponizing it, being like, oh, you don't have to watch it now. Don't worry, I told you everything that happens. You don't have to watch it. Don't worry about it. You know? Sometimes I get that vibe. But here, it's an example of restraint. They can actually demonstrate restraint. It is possible. And perhaps they were showing restraint because they respect this movie a lot. They really like that movie. That was what I was theorizing a little bit. Just a theory. A game theory. Yeah, that's the one. Cool character, mediocre fighter. There's 2 live-action movies for Kitaro. I watched both. Damn. God damn. I guess that's fair because it's the movie. But you don't commit to the whole series. I get it. 600 episodes, most of it raw. I get it. Not expecting you to. Not gonna think lesser of you for not doing that. Totally fair. You shown for the manga too, and it's all that. And it's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, some odd choices. It's almost 2 hours. Great. I did go over a couple of them though already. Some of the big ones, but yeah. K-On! Same. We went over this stuff. Kaiji. This. At first I liked it. At first I was like, oh yeah. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. Simple, highly stylized animation and hard-boiled noir story make this a show for those whose fathers brought them up on Golgo 13. I can kind of see what they mean. But I guess, but they really are ultimately 2 different experiences. I would not recommend Golgo 13 to Kaiji fans. Because Kaiji has a very particular adrenaline and energy to it that's really enticing and fun, and There's a lot more things to it. Like, yeah, it is highly stylized animation, and it's a hard-boiled, noirish story. I don't disagree. But, like, fathers brought them up on Golgo 13. Yeah, I think you were really... This is one of those instances where it feels like they're stretching to try to find something similar. But it's funny, they don't even mention Akagi. They mention Fukumoto, but they don't mention Akagi at all. They don't mention One Outs either. Like, there are anime they could have connected this to, but instead they're going to connect it to Golgo 13? Like, okay. The turn-based one? Oh, yeah. The horror RPG on the PS2. Oh, yeah. Weird kaiju take. Yeah, you know, I was just like, huh. This was weird to me. The Kaleido Star. Yet Junichi Sato is spellbound by the roar of the crowd and the smell of the grease paint as any old vaudeville hack. Don't besmirch my man like that. I don't know if besmirch is the word. But, like, come on. Come on. And he gives his fantasy a full-on, top-quality staging. Because they're just trying to talk about, like, oh, it's a commentary on the actors, and they're all really rude, and it's a tough business, and everything like that. And yet, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of the grease paint, it just, like, hypnotizes people into working in that industry anyway. I majored in theater performance. It's not the roar of the crowd. For me, could be for other people. Live theater, it's not the roar of the crowd and the smell of the grease paint. No. I guess, I mean, for me, it's the physical performance of it. It's being able to create, not even in front of other people, but like doing this thing, performing, singing, this routine, telling this story, and doing it with people next side by side with you. You know, that bonds you together with people in that production, and you become friends, and that's a really fun. That's a fun thing to do, and the reward, you know, for doing it instead of just like doing it amongst ourselves in a tiny room or something, is to share it with people, is to show that performance to people and have them enjoy it the way we were enjoying performing it. That's how I like to look at it. And yeah, there's a lot of rude, selfish, vain assholes in theater. And yeah, a lot of them are doing it maybe for their own personal satisfaction of being able to hit that note, being able to perform that thing, being famous. Sure, there's some people into that for that. But like, I was in that environment with professionals, or, you know, aspiring professionals, and that was never any of our real intention of like, I want to be a star. Cringe. Like, we would, all of us in the room would actually probably cringe at that. Like, who the fuck are you, poser? Nah. We do it for the craft. We love the writing. We love being able to bring the nuance in the performance of that writing. There's a skill and a craft to it. And there's something really enticing and fun about that. Even in the technical side, even just like building the sets, right? Bringing something to life like that is something that's like, you're seeing fiction like tangible. It's one thing to read, right? It's one thing to like experience something that's not real, but to physically make this castle, make this like real set, making it feel livable, and choosing a couch for a production, like that's like, this is where the characters are going to sit, you know, and making it tangible. That's really fun and fulfilling, even on a production side of things. This just comes off to me as someone just like, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's still talking about that RPG. Yeah, I don't know. That was just what a take to me. It was just like, not a fan as much. Recalato just started. So, is this why you don't like Review Starlight? You know, it's so funny because I don't like dwelling on shows that I don't like. So when I finished Bokurano, right, I would have to like watch my streams for me talking about it to remember the things I don't like about that show, or like recall like my thread or something. but I genuinely forget after a couple months, if I don't like something. So for why I didn't like Review, I couldn't tell you. I think it is kind of that, maybe. There might be something to that, really. I couldn't tell you the precise reasons I didn't like Review. I think it was just... I don't know. It could be that, where, like, it seemed to be about the craft, and then it really wasn't. It was just kind of about something else. And the performance is all surreal, and because all the sets are already made, and there's, like, a bending of reality and fiction and stuff, I guess a reflection of it, and I can't ever say this for sure, because it's been years since I saw it, but I think it's something like, yeah, maybe because it feels like everything is surreal and fake or fantasy or something, it removes that tangibility quality. And so then the performance also makes it seem surreal. And that adrenaline, that bond and camaraderie, none of that's really reflected in that show. So that could be an argument. But I will say that this Review Starlight movie is one of the things we're watching as a patron group at some point later, way later. So we'll see. Maybe that will be better. People seem to really like it as its own thing and not just like a recap movie, so that's exciting. We'll see. Yeah. But I couldn't tell you for sure. But following the logic I just said and thinking about it, sure. Yeah, I can kind of see it. Kamichu. In many ways, all magical girl shows are about the same thing. Who cares? Like, sure, you're right. You think about it, yeah, you got me. But who cares? I'm not watching Sailor Moon. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch Sailor Moon, even though I've seen Princess Tutu, Full Moon, Ojimaj Doremi. I don't feel like I need to see more magical girl shows, but I want to watch Sailor Moon, not just because it's also about growing up. It's all about the same thing. You know, I don't care about that at this point. I want to see a magical girl show for the elements that they present, not just what they are about, you know. And the execution of that thing. I want to see Yukihara's early direction when he gets the reins handed to him from Junichi Sato, and then going from Ikuhara to Igarashi, who directs the season afterwards. And like all that staff who was on Goldfish Warning, and like seeing them make this like really popular, but like injecting their comedy in it, like it's gonna be really fun, really interesting to see it from that perspective. I think. I don't care about they're all about the same thing. Who gives a shit? I don't know. Aren't you excited to have to wake up at 9 a.m. for the group watch tomorrow? I wake up at like 7 a.m. anyway. Either way, I try to be an early bird, because I'm mostly I'm mostly operating independently, because I'm either working on my own personal stuff, or I'm doing work for other people that's all in my room. I'm in my room most of the day for 6 days out of the week or something. So I have to be really personally responsible, and so I try to get up early. So that's not an early time, but I like it that it's an early time, actually, because then it's not like a disruptor in the middle of my day or something. It's the first time I hear anyone calling Kamichu a magical girl show. Yeah, it's like, I guess it technically is. The way they describe it, it's not a magical girl show. The girl has powers, the girl's magic. It's technically, of course. I'm not going to make that argument because I haven't seen Kamichu. But you can make that argument if you want. Yeah, so Yoshinori Kaneda. Absolutely no mention of... maybe we may have talked about this before because maybe somebody brought it up, but there's no mention of Birth or Genma Tyson, the Kaneda Dragon. I'll read you what they fucking say about him. And it's like... Really? Kaneda yo. Yeah. Concept artist and animator on many anime movies, including later installments of Star Blazers series and Galaxy Express 39. His art style was of radical importance in anime involving with science fiction and robots, for which he experimented with wide angle and fisheye and lens effects, and in which he pioneered the use of point of view entirely divorced from the upright, horizon-based perspective of standard filming. This Kaneda perspective, acknowledging that in space there is no such thing as up or down, I don't really know what they mean by that, achieved an almost viral spread of influence in the 1980s, caused in part by the ready access of the video generation to recordings of his earlier work. He hence became something of an icon in SF anime, imitated so often that critics even began referring to Kanada Motoki, mock Kanada, stylings among lesser animators. So instead of the Kanada school, it's mock Kanada. Great. Big fan. And not to erase that maybe the people ever actually said that, but like, I prefer calling it the Kanada school, right? Because there's some people that were actually good animators that were also inspired by Kanada. Just because you were inspired by Kanada doesn't make you a lesser animator. You know what I mean? In the 1980s, he became associated with the output of Hayao Miyazaki as an animator on Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and subsequent Studio Ghibli productions like Castle in the Sky, Kiki's Delivery Service, Porco Rosso, and Spirited Away. I actually don't know if he did Spirited Away. I don't know any Kanada cuts from him about that. Maybe, but probably. I have to look at Sakaguboru, but no time. But I could have sworn that Princess Mononoke was the last one. Because then in the 2000s, he kind of moved away from anime completely, I think. But I could be wrong. Yeah. So no mention of birth and no mention of Gemma Tyson. Cool. Yeah, Canon is based on an erotic dating simulation game. Great. Anime appears to excel at depicting, revisiting, analyzing, and fantasizing the desperate teenage state where a boy will consider dating anything that moves. I haven't seen Canon. Is the MC really like that, where he'll consider dating anything that moves? Is he like that? And also, I find it annoying that you're going to be like, it excels at depicting, revisiting, analyzing, and fantasizing, right? Like, it loves doing that, so you would assume then that maybe they've really explored it and tried different nuances, and there's actually differences with all these different titles, but I don't think you really are saying that. I think you're just mentioning that they just like doing this over and over again and you're sick of it. In fact, I don't even know if you really liked it in the first place, besides a couple of exceptions. Because if you did like it, you would just, you know that these guys would just be like, it's not like the superior this show that actually does it good. They never do that. They always call something a Tenchi clone, or Oh My Goddess clone, Urusei Yatsura, Love Hina. It's like those four. And those are just the ones that are the most popular. And I don't think they necessarily like those shows either. Maybe they do. I haven't read most of those articles yet, actually. They all come after K. But no, I get the vibe just from reading their stuff that, no, I think they have just disdain for the whole genre. They just never find it interesting. And they can't possibly consider that there's any nuance or differences with these different, And it honestly makes me want to, like, really try to make this big project out of exploring a number of these titles and being like, yeah, here's the difference with all of them. Here are the different nuances and takes that these guys have. And even some maybe interviews with the creators being like, yeah, so like, successive thing. If it was an obvious case, like, yeah, head empty, I just wanted to make K-On! Again. And like, that's it, then sure. Then you can call it shallow, whatever. But maybe they have some genuine thoughts and nuances about this. It's like, a lot of harem anime, they like doing the girl next door thing. And they usually go this direction with it. But I thought, what if we had them in this particular instance? Well, how would they react in this? You know what I mean? Or what if the character is more like this, or this horrible thing happened to him, or this other, whatever. Actual nuance and detail. I don't think you're actually saying that. I don't think you believe that. And it's like, you are vastly overestimating these shows. You're right. I don't have that much experience with them. I tend to avoid harem anime because I'm not interested. And I know that. And I don't go out of my way complaining about it. But I don't watch any of them. Because I haven't watched any of them, right? I talk about the ones that I've seen. Oran, great. Clanad, I like the first season. I'm a little bit of an outsider with that one, but I like the first season. And that was even the more harem-centric one. And then After Story actually becomes more of a unconventional romance type of thing. Unconventional in the sense of it's no longer a harem. He actually chose somebody. Spoilers, I guess. But, I don't know. It's makes me upset. And I'm not even like a big VN. I've not read a single damn VN in my life. I'll fully admit that. I don't know if these guys have either. But I've also seen how much people really enjoy them and get a lot out of them. You know, Umaneko, Subahibi. I hear so many good things about them. Door to Fata Morgana. That stuff sounds incredible. You know, maybe there's nothing to those shows, but, you know. I don't know. Imaishi is the most famous representative of Kaneda style, not that they care. No, the canon MC is not like that. Got it. I figured as much. Anyway. Kampamaki and the Sushi Kids. A kappa is a Japanese water sprite. Oh, weird. I thought you were trying to avoid having to explain Japanese terms. They explain the whole... Like, this is what a kappa is if you never knew. And, like, that's great. I'm a fan of that. Yes, explain it. But don't go out of your way and be like, oh, here's all the anime terms. We're trying to avoid them, okay? Call it a hentai. Gee. Like, it's so... I will tell you my reading experience for a lot of this is whenever I'm reading, I read the title and then I read the description. And the title almost, sometimes it gives away, it's like, oh, this is probably a hentai. But I don't judge. And then I start reading and reading sex or rape or molest or whatever. And then my eyes immediately go up to the length of the thing. And then it's, 2 episodes, 50 minutes or something. It's over. Or Pink Pineapple Studio. Oh, okay. It's a hentai. That's how I know it's a fucking hentai. Not by their title or description, or the fucking tags they put in being like, oh, nudity, like little content warnings of like nudity, language, violence, or something. Because there's other titles that would have nudity in them, but they're not hentai. You know, that's not like an indicator of like 18 plus or something. And even then, there's 18 plus anime that like aren't necessarily hentai themselves. But yeah, it's like I have to find that out like a weird, different way. All the time. Haven't you read Danganronpa? It's a hybrid, but no. I've seen the anime for Danganronpa, and then I watched a playthrough of DR2 because I was a broke college student who couldn't afford to buy the game, or I didn't have the system for it either, really, at the time. Like way back before the game was even fucking officially translated. Like, this was, like, late 2013 that I watched the show, liked it, and went to go check out 2, which had only been fan-translated at the time. And it wasn't until, like, late 2014, late 2015 or something, that they finally got DR2. That's how I experienced. So I've never officially played, like, a legit downloaded a VN and played it. Never done it. At least, I mean, I've done little things like fucking... like a little web thing like the Seinfeld dating sim or something, like little fun gag stuff like that. I've done things like that, but not an official, like, this is a VN that I bought off of Steam. You know what I mean? I've also, like, you know, played out little side things, but never dedicated to something. Anyway. The English title we use here is derived from the right holder's English website, which urges us earnestly, please enjoy the mind-healing Oh, yeah. The English title we use here is derived from the Right Soldier's English website, which urges us earnestly, please enjoy the mind-healing tales in this fantasy land. Until someone eats your protagonist. Like, they added that as, like, a dig, like, an aside. Like, man. Like, it's a joke. And, yeah, I'm scrutinizing them for their fucking jokes. Sure. I just think it was a weird, cynical joke to make out of this fucking Kapamaki series. Like, it's like a kid's show. And, like, the show is trying, yeah. And, like, you know, their website's trying to be a little wholesome or something. And they're like, hey, you know, please enjoy the mind-healing tales of this fantasy land. And then they gotta be fucking cynical assholes. You know, they're British, like, wry humor and shit. Like, what are you guys talking about? So weird. Again, I might be just exaggerating, but yeah. The Ace Attorney series is probably the most accessible VN series for newcomers. Yeah. Like, it barely even feels like a VN at that point. But you're right, it is a VN. Could have had a VN. I could have had a VN. Could have had a V8. That's a MF Doom lyric. Hashimashi. This is kind of yeah. There's 2 instances of this actually in this reading, where they're not the most sensitive when it comes to gender terms or just gender in general. As if one's teens were not confusing enough, this anime based on an idea by Satoru Akahori was also turned into a manga in Comic Dengeki Daio magazine. I don't know what's weird about that. I'm sorry I'm just scrutinizing them this bad. As if one's teens were not confusing enough, this anime based on an idea by Satoru Akahori was also turned into a manga in What's weird about that? As if one's teens were not confusing enough. What's confusing about that? What? I don't know. Were they just... Huh? It's just a weird creative writing choice as like speaking of like a weird transition or something, and he didn't know how to do it. I don't know. According to VNDB mods, we won't consider it a VN. But we can't delete it because of reasons. Ha! That's funny. Soon. Yeah, but this was more of what I was talking about. Kashimashi, if you don't know, is the one where the alien crash lands on a boy, kills him, and then they bring him back to life, but they turn him into a girl instead. The title is a visual pun in this case, since one of the women is actually a man. Sort of. Except he isn't. He died and is reincarnated as a woman. So it's a woman. So I haven't seen the show, but I do know that since the release of this encyclopedia, we've had to update the subs to be much more careful about pronouns. Like the Discotheque release for this last year or the year before or something. We had to redo the subs a lot because of how like not gender friendly they were. kept calling the main character he, despite being a girl. Yeah. So that was it's actually a man, sort of. It isn't a man. Just isn't a man. I haven't seen the show, but like I know. I'm familiar with the show at least. Anyway. I've talked about this Kawaii Jenny and the whole thing. Looking it up, and it's like, oh, this Tokusatsu is not anime? But yeah, they've included anime, it's just not in the first edition. Kaze no Yojimbo, I did talk about that. That was really funny. Contradiction. Kick Heart. Oh my god. This is literally... it's trying to mount into a molehill. Like, what do you... Not me. Maybe me. Again, I always try to couch my stuff of like, maybe I'm being too hyperbolic or something. But this stuck out to me. The authors welcome the idea of getting fans to back up their clamorings with hard cash, so like Kickstarter. The authors dread the likely implications for what gets put into production. Nobody in the anime business thought that My Neighbor Totoro would be a success, but people threw money by the shovelful at Kiba. So like, you're literally worried that fans are going to pay for anime you don't like. No! Let people enjoy what they enjoy. Let people fund what they want to fund. Sure, they're not gonna, like, you know, slice up, like, sure, maybe. Or maybe they would have, because they would have known that it was by Hayao Miyazaki. And Hayao Miyazaki's like, I have this idea, and people knew him from fucking... To be honest, like, I get it. Maybe from, like, a perspective in 1987 or something, where you have this director and all he's done is Castle in the Sky, Nausicaa, Cagliostro, in terms of films. And then he's worked on other stuff, like I guess Panda Co Panda he worked on, right? I believe he worked on it. Maybe he didn't. I know he's connected to it in some way because it was like the Pippi pilot. But it's like I get it from there, where it's like, but like if Kiki came out afterwards or something, you know, like if Kiki existed and Totoro, you know, it's because it's Hayao Miyazaki, right? And there's actual execution to that. It's not just the premise, but also you have no idea. But there's other fucking these slice of life things that are kind of similar to Totoro or something that you just like scoff at. It's like, it's no My Neighbor Totoro. You know what I mean? But it's like, why are you worried about that? Of like, oh, the fans are gonna like, uh-oh, the likely implications of what will get put into production. Genshin, oh no, a Genshin anime. I know it's being made now, but like, that's like getting mad at that, you know? Like, no, it's fine, right? How did they compare Kazuno Yojimbo to Yojimbo, but not Kick Heart to Nacho Libre? Dunno. Couldn't tell you. They also don't mention Yuasa at all. And they say about Kick Heart that it's mostly forgettable, if not for the fact that it was kickstarted. And they make a big deal about that. But they don't really care about the actual execution. I hear good things about Kick Heart. I actually haven't seen it myself yet, which is weird because it only took 12 minutes. But like, I usually hear good things about that one. And it's exceptional and interesting that it's the first crowdfunded in that way. But this simply, like, oh no. But they did show that Kiba. Yeah, but what if people wanted to watch Kiba? But like, you're also not like, it's also not processing the same way, because like, people threw investors threw money at Kiba, not fans like this fucking Kick Heart thing that you're worried about choosing the wrong thing. Or like, nobody in the anime, what they're doing is nobody in the anime, you're basically like conflating the anime business people's impressions of what's going to sell versus what the fans want. And you're worried about that. You know, it's like, oh, it's just a weird statement to make. You know, it's just like, what are you talking about? Go watch it. It's short. I know. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of short stuff that I could watch that I just don't. I don't know why. I saw Kick Heart when Adult Swim aired. It was pretty fun. Yeah. I don't know. It's just so weird. The first 3 games are available in the compilation on Switch if you're interested. Yeah, I mean, I do... Oh, Ace Attorney maybe? I think we maybe talk about Danganronpa. But, you know, I know. I know those games are... I have games I would want to play, but, you know. Kitty Grade. Hoping... This is another example of, like, belittling anime fans. Hoping that modern generation's attention span is short enough to not to notice a darker, less exuberant take on Dirty Pair. Like, the guys, the older... Like, Helen and John are both really old, are kind of middle-aged. I think around the time when they're writing this too. So I was like, these young kids have no idea about Dirty Pair. They haven't seen Dirty Pair yet. You know, and also on the internet nowadays, if something's just Dirty Pair, first of all, very few people act like this nowadays, I think. Not a lot of people are just like, it's just, I guess there is people that generalize isekai, sure. There's other things like that. But like, I don't think people are so quick to call Kitty Grade, it's just Dirty Pair, you know what I mean? But like, at the same time, fans are a lot more media aware, conscious. They're aware of the landscape. They're like, that reminds me of this show. I feel like more people would realize that it's like Dirty Pair, but they're probably right in that assumption that like, oh no, yeah, fans they're gonna have a short attention span. They don't know this is Dirty Pair. Oh, they're probably right in that assumption. And even if they were, right? It's still just being like openly dismissive to anime fans and just being condescending to them. And that's just like annoying. I mean Ace Attorney. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know why I don't want to. No, it's not on my radar for Ace Attorney. It's fine. I do like that animation that came out recently. It's like, Awooga! I have a bad case of glossy fever. Now I want to put my whippy through hair cushions. Well, can you do this? It's so good. It's like classic Oni. It really had like the Oni vibe of just like, it's the delivery and the facial reactions that make the jokes like so good. It's so funny. It's really good animation. You literally just do like Ace Attorney animation, you'll probably find it. It's like they're like clustered. Yep. So funny. I used to see a lot of boomer anime fans say Panty and Stocky was a Dirty Pair ripoff. It was really annoying. Oh god, like shut up. I'm not even into that Panty and Stocky. It's just like, that's so annoying. Oh, it's just Dirty Pair. Who cares? The Gonzo studio didn't appear able... This was weird. This was also just like, what are they talking about? The Gonzo studio doesn't appear able to make anime that looks less than glorious. Really? Gonzo doesn't appear able to be made anime that looks less than glorious. High praise. Higher praise than I normally hear about Gonzo, to be honest with you. But okay. But here it faces what might be called the Ghibli problem. Okay, what are you gonna say here? The Ghibli problem? Gonzo having the Ghibli... First of all, Gonzo having the Ghibli problem. And then, okay, what is this Ghibli problem? We have this fantastic technical ability. Can we marry it to the same level of script and storytelling every time? What are they trying to say here? We have this fantastic technical ability. You mean like a really talented director in Hayao Miyazaki or Isao Takahata or Yoshifumi Kondo? And then when it's not those guys, the movies are just usually kind of okay. Even the technical ability, like, I'm not wowed by much of, like, yeah, I don't know. Up on Poppy Hill or something. I don't know. It's just a weird take. It's like, but then also, can we marry it to the same level of script and story? What are you talking about? Like, is that the Ghibli problem? Yeah, I was like, the Ghibli problem? What? I'm like, huh? Okay, if they were actually Gonzo fans, I can forgive them a lot of things. Forgive them a lot of things like what? Or you just be like, oh, they're bros for liking Gonzo. Because I'm kind of a similar way, right? Where I'm just like, oh, they like Cypher. I can't hate them completely. You know? Is that what you mean by, like, I can forgive them a lot of things? Or does that mean that, oh, that makes a lot of sense? Where it's like, oh, I can kind of better see their perspective on things. Gonzo is usually the punching bag of the industry. Weird take. No hate towards Gonzo. It's just what I see online. Yeah, that's what I'm like. I don't necessarily, I was like, oh, Gonzo sucks. I'm not like that. I'm just more like, huh. I don't see that often. It's a weird, that's interesting. I know the Ace Attorney video you were referencing, the humor is actually inspired by the Adult Swim show Xavier Renegade Angel. You might like it if you found that video funny. Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's great. I gotta check. Yeah, they seem more like Oni to me. Kids on the Slope. Yeah, I mentioned this like at the beginning of the stream. They dance around calling it rotoscoped. And then they're like, oh, like Flowers of Evil. And then I go to the Flowers of Evil article, and it's like... And that was during when I was giving positive, I think during opinions. I went to that. The Flowers of Evil. Rotoscoping's nothing new. And it's like, then why didn't you mention it in your Kids on the Slope article? Why did you have to really come up with language to, you know, kill the kill? From the people who brought you Gurren Lagann. No mention of Imaishi? Is it because you didn't like Dead Leaves and seemed lukewarm on Gurren Lagann? Is that why? Because, you know, it's just like, Imaishi did a great job in doing that. They're usually really good at that. At, like, giving proper credit and giving the name of the person that did it. You know? I like them a lot when they do that, honestly. But, like, that was weird. It's like, just talk about Imaishi then. I don't know. He deserves to be mentioned. It's an original series, right? Yeah, that was weird. From the people who write Gurren Lagann. Like, isn't this Encyclopedia meant to, like, really shine a light on the people making it? You know? Gonzo made Samurai 7, so I think they can make great stuff when they have a good director and staff. Yeah. Kino's Journey. Yeah, this is the other weird gender thing. That's like, and they include a little weird take about it, too. It's difficult to discuss the story of Kino's journey without giving away one of its secrets. Kino is actually a girl. This fact has a palpably damaging effect on the way the show could be sold abroad. So I didn't really realize that, like, that's why the show was a hard sell, and not for the fact that it's, like, you know, not action or, you know, not a conventional kind of series. It's a lot slower. It's, you know, kind of more like conceptual and not immediately like anime. You know, I feel like there's other reasons besides like, oh, geez, well, look at the poster and it's a girl. Except, you know, Kino is Kino, as they say in the show. Kino is non-binary. I don't mean to say that they explicitly say, I am non-binary. I don't know if they really have the terminology for that in the show present. But very clearly, Kino does not associate themselves with any gender. Kino is Kino. I remember that specifically. Kino is non-binary. Refer to them as they. And I really don't think they grasp that concept, because every single time they come up with they encounter a gender thing in this book, in this encyclopedia, they always go he, she, or they, her, him. You know, they always put a little dash. Like, it's complicated, you know? Or you could just say they. I don't know if they know about that. But yeah, they're like, it's actually a girl. Yeah, no, it's obviously like a surprise, because you don't really know what Kino's gender is, and it doesn't matter for one thing. But then when you get Kino's backstory, yes, they were a girl, very female presenting, and then they meet this male role model, and then Kino dresses like him and does all this stuff. But it's not like a secret or something. It was also weird because it's just like, it's hard to discuss the story. No, it's actually very easy to discuss the story, because it's not always really about Kino. It's very easy to not bring up Kino's gender at all. And then the other thing, this fact has had a palpably damaging effect on the way the show could be sold abroad? Really? That's surprising. Do they have an Imaishi article? Let's see. They don't. They don't have an Imaishi article. They don't have an article on him. Oh my god. I think that might help with my theory about, like, they only make articles about people if they explicitly mention them in an article somewhere, like give them credit for like a color designer or something. Otherwise they won't make an article. That's crazy. Anyway, her gender never once mattered. What are they on about? Blood Plus starred a girl. I remember that being big when Adult Swim aired it. Kinda. Kino wants to emulate the previous Kino so it's interpretable. Yikes gender. Yeah! Yikes gender! Reminds me of what Watanabe said of Ed, which was something along the lines of Ed is a character so futuristic that gender doesn't really apply. Not to mention Inuyasha had Kagome be the focal protagonist, and that show was huge when it aired there. Sag. Yo, you back to the streams. Yeah, good to see you, Panda Man. It started a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to get back into the regular schedule, so that's why it's on a Thursday, because I can't do it tomorrow. Thought you were talking about Edward Elric for a second until I saw Watanabe. Yeah. Ed is Ed. Edward Elric is Edward Elric. But yeah, weird. Really weird. Kiss excess. They lust after him, and since they're not related, that's apparently okay. Erotica and pornography. I just thought it was funny that they just describing the show, and that's apparently okay. Hint, hint, it's not. And they just like link to their article on erotica and pornography. Let's see what that's apparently okay. It's not, guys. You know. That was just a weird choice, I think. Hiroyuki Kitazame. Literally all they. So let me read your article on Kitazame. Oh, where the fuck? Kitazume, sorry. All it says, literally all it says. Found fame as a character designer with Studio Vivo on the Zeta Gundam series and Elgaim, one of the animators selected to contribute to the anthology Robot Carnival. Now, I am familiar with Elgaim. I watched it this year, and one of the things I know about it is its character designer, which is not Hiroyuki Kitazume. And I had to double check, so I actually end up clicking on the article. I just want to bring this up because it's like, oh, interesting. This says, as a Japanese animator, manga, and illustrator, he's often noted to work on the Studio Sunrise. Helen McCarty, in 500 Essential Anime Movies, commented that he shot to fame in 1985 as a character designer on the Zeta Gundam TV series. And it's cited there. The biography of a living person includes a list of general references, but it lacks sufficient corresponding inline citations. Contentious material about living persons that is unsourced or poorly sourced must be removed immediately, especially if it potentially libellous or harmful. And this is as of December 2010 when they said this. And because it's like, oh, you read that as a character designer of Zeta Gundam TV series, and it's okay. Wait, where is he a character designer? Oh, he's a character designer in Double Zeta. Oh, what about Elgheim? He isn't a character designer either. You're thinking of... Oh, God. It's so bad that I can't remember his name. I brought him up a couple of times. This sucks. I'm so sorry. I really wish I had the name. Let's check it out. I hate to fucking look this up because it looks like I'm just like... I don't know. It doesn't look good on me personally, I guess. What the fuck is this? What was his name? Kogawa. Kogawa. I did it. I remembered. Is Kogawa even listed anywhere here? If not, then I win. Yes, I win. I did remember. It's fucking Kogawa is the character designer, and I'll just double check and prove you. You're in the Moose Network. Elgheim. It's oh, it's not. I lose so hard. Fuck. It's not. That's the guy who did story and art, an original manga for 5-star stories. Brain Powered, Mecha Design, Gochimade. So you have his designs. Mamoru Nagano. So let's look at this. Mamoru Nagano. You check out his designs, right? Give me a better shot than that. Okay, you see that one, and then you see Hiroyuki Kitazume. And it's like, oh yeah, I see what you mean. You know, kind of similar. And then you see Kogawa. I don't know if just Kogawa. Yeah, no, it's not gonna show up. Frick. It's not. He's not really the one. Tominori Kogawa. That's it. Wait, what was that? Oh, okay. Different kind of comparisons of some stuff. I think is this Petsu that did it? No. Nah, it's somebody else. But like Tominori Kogawa. It is so easy in my opinion to confuse these guys. I can totally understand why you'd see these three and be like, yeah, okay, that's the same guy. God damn it. And that's like, you know, but then Kogawa did work on it. Storyboarder and animation director for 5 episodes. What do you do character design on for? Zabungle and Ideon, right? Like other Tomino stuff. It's just so frustrating. You know, but still. Not the character designer for Elgheim or Zeta Gundam. What's the one for Zeta Gundam then? Zeta. What do you mean? What do you mean I can't search? He never worked on Gundam at all? I guess not. Sure. just finds double Zeta, because he did the double Zeta, right? Hiroyuki Kitazume. Look at all that. Oh, look at all that Gundam. Yeah. He's just cited as original creator, which he is, but yeah. But then double Zeta, not regular, Zeta. Yoshi, dude, it's a Yas project. That's a fifth. That's like a fifth. 1, 2, 3. It's confusing a bunch of Tomino stuff. Yoshikazu. He has look at his designs too. It's like, man, there's so much nuance and differences in this stuff. And yeah, you can definitely tell the differences and stuff, and you can cite that. And I like that nuance. That's interesting. But it's just so funny. It's just like, wait, he did that? Oh my god. Still live. Yes, I'm still live, Emily, so. Thought you were talking about it. Well, I thought Magano did designs for Elkheim. It doesn't help that they all worked on a lot of the same stuff. And then most of these guys went on to do Overfiend. Right, yeah. You know, that's what I mean. It is generally like all over the place. But I just found that interesting that they, that was a weird one for me. I'll go back. I mean, even I get like really mixed up with that. It was like, oh, he did that, and then the other. Oh my god, yeah, nuts. Tomino did a lot of stuff, and for some reason, a lot of it ends up being really cohesive. It feels like Dunbine, and you know, a lot of these things feel similar. You know. Knights of Sidonia. Netflix acquisition and release suggested the opening shots of a new rights rush among Western distributors. Anime plots aren't the only things that repeat themselves. So it's just more contempt for anime, but then also, or just generalization of anime, I guess. But then also, like, I mean, the plot's a little different. You can't forget that nuance and detail. This time, the companies merged together before the bubble burst. There's a difference. I don't disagree that this is a pattern, a cyclical pattern of a rights rush type of thing, and it'll never end. But I don't know. I was just annoyed by the aren't the only things that repeat themselves. I just don't like their humor, really. Koihime Muso. Oh my god. Once again, you remember this whole thing that they do where it's like the length is a dictator of like it being a successful series or not? If 3 TV series and 3 videos sounds like a big success, bear in mind that that's actually just 39 episodes in total, less than a quarter of say, Kirin Revolution. Why is it an arms race? Who cares if it's that long? Like, why is it a competition with these guys? And then when it is as long as Kirin Revolution, they're going to dismiss it as just like, oh, just nostalgia like Shibi Maruko-chan. Like, God, it doesn't end. If it's one thing, it's the other. You know what I mean? That's just what it feels like. Finally catching a stream while I sit at my home chair. But yeah, trying to find the creative team via only their published works. Yoshikazu directed Gundam Origin and Doan's Island movie just recently. Yeah, I'm familiar with Yoshikazu. Yas! It's a Yas movie. Gotta do that machismo critique. Yeah. Actually, the article. Yeah, kind of. It's like, whatever, man. Okay. Yoshifumi Kondo. Another time, because, and this is only, I usually do not, try to go out of my way to correct them, but I looked this up because I knew that he was a character designer on Akagi no An, too. So I was like, it's weird that they mentioned animation director and not character designer. And it's true. He is the animation director on An. The only one credited. And then there's a bunch of kids. That's just how that's just how it ran in the 70s. But he is the only one credited as the animation director. And then Future Boy Conan, he's credited. They credit him as the animation director for Conan, except he wasn't. That would be Yasuo Otsuka. Just Yasuo Otsuka. Just like how he is the only one credited as animation director for Anne. So that's interesting. So I didn't intend to like correct them like that, but I just happened to look and I was just like, oh, I wonder, well, what's this case with him being just an animation director on Conan? Oh, he isn't at all. I see. But yeah, that was weird. Corral, Phantom Memory, and Kurokami. Compared to Birdie the... This is so funny. I wanted to... Oh, God. There's so... I should have figured this would go for a 3-hour stream, man. I really should have figured. Let me look up. These two articles are, like, 3 away from each other. They are, like, neck and neck. It wasn't, like, somewhere way else I just happened to remember it's the same wording. It was literally, like, 3 articles later, they do the exact same thing. Where they literally say, compared to Birdie the Mighty and its ultimate inspiration, Ultraman. Same exact wording. Corral, Phantom Memory. And let me know if you think these sound like Birdie the Mighty or Ultraman. Not that I've seen either, but I just have a feeling that it's like, this doesn't seem like Birdie the Mighty. You know, I've read their article on Birdie the Mighty, and I'm familiar enough with Ultraman. By the year 2100, humans have colonized the moon and appear to have solved most of their problems on Earth, too. Mankind even seems to have the ecology issue licked, with Earth dividing into inhabited areas called metropolis and green support areas known as ecologia. This is Corral Phantom Memory, by the way. But every Eden breeds its serpents. Despite there being no poverty, there's still crime. A group of special agents is tasked to deal with crimes that the global police organization can't handle. 22-year-old Kurao Amami is a highly skilled and successful agent, but still lonely and emotionally immature. She has a good reason. She's a rare being, a human-alien hybrid created by accident. In her case, the accident happened in her father's lab 10 years before, when her body was possessed by a transdimensional life form called Rhinax, making her a Rhina sapien. Rhinaxes live in the microscopic spaces between their partners' atoms. If they can escape into our world, they can make anything they touch decompose. They bestow superhuman physical abilities. Corral can fly, make solids decompose, and defeat giant robots without even wearing armor. There is a price to be paid in the style of Elfen Lied. Normal people fear her, and she's lonely and friendless. And they give away the entire... They keep describing it over more and more. And it's like... Yeah, okay, I just gotta keep describing it, I guess, because then it's like, oh, that makes sense then. Then on Christmas Day, Corral gets her best ever present. Light pours from her body, and a girl who is the image of her 12-year-old self materializes before her eyes. She seems completely ordinary. Corral names her Christmas and enjoys having a younger sister around to ease her loneliness. Then other Rhinaxes try to emerge from her body, and the government decides she's become a destructive virus who must be exterminated along with her Rhinax other self. Determined to protect Christmas from mankind and mankind from the destructive abilities of the Rhinax, Corral has a fight on her hands. The girls flee around the world, even to the moon, and on the way they meet other Rhina sapiens and other Rhinaxes. It seems the two species can coexist, even though not everyone on either side wants to. Symbiotic relationships between humans and aliens. By getting others to see that Christmas isn't a threat and that she isn't to be feared, Corral can overcome her own loneliness and finally become a mature, happy woman. Compared to Birdie the Mighty and its ultimate inspiration, Ultraman. Alright, I guess. It's because all three have to be the two people in one body, with one of the people being an alien, and the MC having superpowers because of it. So anyway, it is actually similar. Alright. Let's try Kurogane Communications. This Earth has been ravaged by a devastating war. Well, one-time robot servants fight in the ruins over spare parts. Haruka, a human girl who might be the last survivor of her race, is found by some kindly robots who protect her from war machines hell-bent on carrying out their programming to wipe off the face of the Earth. Haruka and her new friends set off in search of the other survivors, if you can believe such a thing. A light-hearted tale. Oh, sorry, that's not the one. It's Kurokami. Not Kurogane, Kurokami. God damn it. The Terra Guardians are beings who work to keep the world's luck, or life force, in balance. Luck is shared out between 3 identical individuals.
If you meet your doppelgangers, the one with the strongest luck will absorb the luck of the weaker ones who die. The Guardians normally stay out of human sight, but one of them, Kuro, accidentally involves a young Japanese guy in an attack by another Guardian. When he loses an arm, she swaps it for one of hers. She has enhanced healing powers. This creates a bond between them that cannot be broken and greatly enhances her power, but requires them to stay together, compared to Birdie the Mighty and its ultimate inspiration, Ultraman. Literally the same writing. My point, where it's like, I get that they're similar, but that's their argument for all of this shit. The reason I'm annoyed by this is that it's literally copy-paste the same thing, when these are completely different shows, and should be treated as different shows. Because when you start boiling down, it's like fucking TV tropes, where it's like, oh, the two people, yeah, they're similar. But they're not, in terms of their execution, right? They should be considered the same, different shows, because they are. I just find it bothersome that they used the exact same wording compared to Birdie the Mighty and its ultimate inspiration, Ultraman. Literally 1, 2, 3, 2. Kurenai, and then they go Yoji Kuri, Kurigane Communications, and Kurakami. Then they do the same thing. It's like, are you kidding me? Birdie cool. That doesn't sound like Birdie. The lab accident thing is a weird similarity that doesn't sound like it contributes to the story in the same way. I have no idea, right? Because they're describing this thing, and it's like, what does that happen in episode 1? Does that happen in episode 4? Like, no idea. You'll never be able to tell with this. TV show's more like cringe. Yeah, the similarities are really only slightly there. Yeah, it's like, it just boils things down in a way that doesn't, it's really unhelpful. Kuroko no Basket. This was funny. There's something ineffably austere and Japanese about a hero whose particular talent is not being noticed while others take the credit. Ineffably austere and Japanese about a hero whose particular talent is not being noticed? I feel like that can be it's an attractive quality beyond being Japanese. Because there are people that can relate, and they mentioned it multiple times in this reading, and they don't mention it here, where it's like, oh, there's like a wallflower, and they're commented, the character's like trying to, I'm like the person viewing this who's a wallflower or whatever. But like, I feel like people can relate to being kind of cool in the way that they aren't noticed and they are secretly helping, and it's, them that kind of gets a lot of the credit, but no one never notices it. There is a cool factor to that. That's universal and not ineffably austere and Japanese. Maybe it's deliberately un-British of you or something. I don't want to generalize, right? But that's what I was coming off of. It's like, what? At some point, summarizing an entire 39 episode show inevitably gets to this, more or less. Didn't know season length in the early 2090s. They're a good trivia website, but for everything else, yeah, I can't argue there. I wonder how TV Tropes is doing now post-Schism, the whole Whedon meltdown. It's also the place that pushed My Hime a lot when I was a teen. Like, it's kind of pointless because a lot of Japanese fiction is somewhat similar to Ultraman, but not in a way that really tells you anything useful about them. Yeah. Ironically, isn't TV Tropes built out of sort of a otaku database thing most of our anime analysis channels mentioned? Yeah, hopefully not. Ew. I think by now we've all kind of recognized how damaging it can be. Generalizing it is. Yeah, but it's like, what do you mean by that? With the basket? And indeed, in the subversive potential of a team of handsome pretty boys in the girl magnet style of slam dunk. I never really pitted slam dunk as the one for the ladies, Like, yeah, Ruka was hot, and there's girls in the series fawning for him. And the other characters are conventionally attractive, but that's just Inoue's character designs. Inoue just makes like really handsome, cool people. That's just how he does character designs. It's very realistic and like sharp and varied. Like all the characters look very different from each other, and they're all cool. Like it's like saying, "Oh, Bleach has cool character design." Like, yeah, it's Pretty Boys. I don't know, that was just weird to me. And another weird thing, Liable to be remembered. Kuroko no Basket, mind you. Kuroko no Basket. Liable to be remembered not for its diffident take on time-worn cliches, but for the prolonged terror campaign waged on its author and fans by Hirofumi Watanabe. I've never heard of this. So you're already... Have any of you heard of this? I'm not going to say it yet. Have you heard of Hirofumi Watanabe and the whole thing with him and Kuroko no Basket? Have you heard of this? Maybe you have. And that's fine. That's good. But, like, just, like, liable to be remembered not for the show, but for this controversy? What controversy? Avoid the forums and mostly focus on trivia and YMMV pages. You'll be fine. I've been involved in numerous arguments about TV tropes being a database in the Ozma sense, and the answer is it depends. It still didn't stop things like deconstruction or wooby being massively misused. I've never heard of wooby. I don't know what wooby is. Don't tell me. I don't care. I do care, but I'd rather not help it spread if it sounds like a plague. At least the Heart is an Awesome Power page eventually pushed me back to JoJo. Haven't seen Slam Dunk. Does it have a big female fan base like Kuroko? I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe? I mean, Slam Dunk was hugely popular. I don't know if it was the girls, though. I think it was just because it's a cool fucking show, and it's awesome. It's fun. It's funny. It's exciting. It's dramatic. It's a great story. Great show. Depends who's reading and editing. Don't most sports shows have pretty boys? Right. I'd have more respect for TV tropes if they just rebranded as a trivia website, because they're awful at teaching anyone how to write. Yeah. I can kind of see Slam Dunk having shonen appeal. Yeah. No. Wait, the what? Never heard of that, but I want to know. Wait, is that the controversy about the woman on the anime staff who drew hentai of the main cast and was fired for it? No. I don't know. I don't think so. So seems that people don't know. Let's talk about it. However, Kuroko's basketball is liable to be remembered not for its diffident take on time-worn cliches, but for the prolonged terror campaign waged on its author and fans by Hirofumi Watanabe, a troubled, suicidal 30-something determined to drag the manga and anime into his personal vortex of drama. So this isn't the author, or seeming like anyone who was involved with the staff. Poisoned packages and death threats, combined with hundreds of abusive letters, ensured that Kuroko's basketball DVDs and manga were removed from shelves by jumpy shopkeepers, and that several fan events refused to allow fanzines based on the show to be sold on the premises. Watanabe was caught in 2013 and sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, and went to jail still bragging that his acts were a fine revenge against his parents and against a creator whose success he was resentfully jealous. Compared to Death Note, which similarly achieved both fame and infamy on account of its more avid and deluded fans. Never mind the whole Death Note thing of just like, Death Note also has controversy. Where it's like, no, I mean, Death Note's popular because it's a really, really good show and very accessible. And, like, fucking Super Eye Patch Wolf just recommended it because it was just like, oh, like he was doing an AMA or something. And like, what's a manga? I don't really like sci-fi. What kind of manga should I read? And he's like, honestly, Death Note's great for any newcomer. And I agree with that. But, like, wait, oh, I remember this guy! What the fuck? That's wild. Okay. It's legit. Wikipedia, both Japanese and English, have sections on it. I'm not disagreeing that it's legit. I'm not saying they make this up. I'm questioning why it's liable to be remembered not for its diffident take on web time, but for the prolonged... like, people remember it for that. And it's like, no, I don't think so. Like, sure, it'll be on their Wikipedia, and it's kind of a major incident for it, but not what people remember it for or know it for at all. I don't know. That was a weird take to me. I mean, it's probably remembered for well selected for localization in the funny golden age. Yeah. Araki cuts Madhouse loose to do what they do best for Kurozuka. Paint the screen any color you want, as long as it's red or black. Madhouse, what they do best. Paint the screen any way you want, as long as it's red and black. I get it's a joke, maybe, but it's like, huh? This is a strange comment to me. It's time to tell the authors of AE to touch grass outside the forums. Seems like everyone's forgotten about it. Yeah, it's like, I didn't know about that. I get, but then, that's what makes this an interesting relic, right? Because they make a big deal about it back then. And then it's like, that got totally buried to time. Just like a comic kill. Kyosugiga. And yeah, I think I mentioned this in... Did I mention this in, when I got to Kyosugiga? Yeah, oh no, wait. Maybe I did? I don't think I did. No, I did. I totally did. Because it was part of the mixed ones. Kyosugiga ONAs only. I don't know if some of you guys were here for it. It's kind of early in the stream. They completely missed out on the TV series. They only list the ONAs that came out in 2012. There was like one, and then there was a 5-episode one, and they comment on it being like, it's like you have to read Alice in Wonderland to understand this. And they seemed to like it as kind of inventive and stuff, but they said it was disappointing because there was nothing to follow up or have any substance to it. Yeah, because the show hadn't come out yet. And then it did in fall 2013. And for reference, they reviewed Kill la Kill, which was the same season it came out, and it describes parts of the story that would air in the later half, so 2014. It's not that it was too late for their cutoff or something. It makes their cutoff. What are they talking about? What happened? How'd they forget that? Sorry, I thought you were talking about the anime. Probably a much bigger deal in Japan because the Japanese fans are... Yeah, of course. No, I was talking about the crazy dude. Yeah, like, what? For fucking Kyosugiga. Ugh. And then their Kyoto Animation article. I actually have to read this, because it was the last thing in K. And it was like, Now, to be fair, this is written from the perspective of, at latest, 2015. 2014, to be more fair. I would say 2014. So think of Kyoto Animation circa 2014 when they're writing this. Kyoto Animation, formed by former employees of Mushi Production in 1981 and incorporated in 1985. I actually didn't know they were former Mushi Pro. That's really interesting. Becoming a public company in 1999. The studio takes its name from the prefecture of location, not the ancient capital of Japan the name evokes. In fact, it is sited in Uji, a nondescript town half an hour by train from all the temples and cherry blossoms. It also owns a subsidiary, Animation Do, or Ani-Do, in nearby Osaka. Representative works included Gatekeepers and the Turn A sequence of the Gundam franchise, before the company became known in the 21st century for numerous serials that tapped into the otaku audience, particularly The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and K-On! The company has run an annual new talent contest, although at time of writing, 2014, it has pointedly refused to give out a grand prize since 2010. The authors note that this means those honorable mentions that the studio has put into production anyway have hence failed to meet its own criteria for excellence. What do you think about that? It took me like 2 seconds to finish reading that. I'm just like... The authors note that this means that those honorable mentions that the studio has put into production anyway have hence failed to meet its own criteria for excellence. So just because they haven't done this grand prize thing, it's like a gotcha. That that means you don't fucking... that just belittles Hyoka or something. Hyoka is one of those things where this is a process in which they're able to get entries for original stories so that they can then turn into anime so that they can profit off of them. So that they can actually not have to share the IP with the magazine or something. Isn't that the reason they do this? Like, it's a marketing, it's a content strategy. So they're able to actually profit off of the works that they make. And that's actually led, to my understanding, it's led to a much stronger studio brand presence than at most other studios. Because most of the studios are just really contractors at the end of the day. But Kyoto Animation, they pretty much own, they have ownership over those IPs because they have this whole system. But, like, is this some sort of gotcha where they're saying, the authors note that this means that those honorable mentions that the studio has put into production anyway, because they pointedly refused to give out a grand prize since 2010, have hence failed to meet its own criteria for excellence, so they actually don't think they're very good. Or something. Like, do you know how that comes across? It comes across as completely dismissive of the whole studio. I'm not a big KyoAni stan. I'm really not. But boy, is this not a good look. I'm not gonna, like, hold the fire or anything against them. Like, that's not... Of course they can't predict that. And perhaps you could argue that circa 2014, they didn't really have that many in the way of austere... Not austere, I don't know. Prestige? Except they did. Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. Hyoka. I've heard very good things about Hyoka. It's not really my thing. I've tried it like a couple times. I not dropped it, but it was always like, it was on in the room and I would like maybe watch some episodes or something. But I would never dedicate my time to watch it. I've heard amazing things, but it's like, Tomoko Love Story? Like, yeah, they hadn't made Silent Voice yet, and they didn't, like, explode. Like, Silent Voice is a huge deal for them as a studio. But so is K-On! So was Haruhi. Didn't they do Lucky Star too? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Didn't they? Wait a minute. Wait, Nichijou too. They did Nichijou. That's 2010 or 2011. What studio did that? Yeah. No, they did Lucky Star too. And their paper, like, they blanket all over is like, oh, they've become known in the 21st century for numerous serials that tapped into the otaku audience. What does that say about them? What are you trying to say? I want to watch Kosegiga, but honestly, I don't know if I'm supposed to watch the OVA or TV series first. Just watch the TV series. Oh, I just watched the TV series. I think the OVAs are kind of like a rough draft pilot. Might check it out eventually, but yeah. The OVA kind of series kind of spoils bigger parts of the full series since it's more or less an expansion. I still haven't watched the OVA proper, but the series, Yeah, sounds about right, Greg. Oh, that would make sense. I'm kind of confused about what they even mean by this. Who knows? I stopped trying to figure out these two writers out. Obviously, they would not make the series if they thought it was bad too soon. Like, there was whole game, like their whole game plan was to sell original properties based on their quality. It's like they're key to their brand. The more we go into this, the more it adds to my own hypothesis of the whole nerd critic ego subculture in the 2000s. Yeah, fair. Lucky Star is KyoAni, definitely. That subculture just makes me realize how many people misinterpreted James Rolfe's gimmick. The reason why AE is so dismissive of KyoAni is also the poster child of moe and cute girls doing cute things that boys thought they were too good for. Yeah, I can understand that they're definitely lumping in and like KyoAni is a big proponent of that. They're not the only proponent of that, to be fair. They're not the first either. They may have been the one that was like, super blow up popular or whatever. But again, this is what happens when you just like callously dismissing a lot of stuff and just broad stroking an entire genre. You totally ignore or completely take for granted the genuine artistry that people are putting into these things. If there's no artistry to be found, then sure, call that out. Sure. But at the same time, I mean, you'll call that out, but then you'll realize, I mean, yeah, it's not very good, but they did still put a lot of work into that. It actually does kind of take a lot to make the anime. It deserves a modicum of respect.
you can criticize their choices all you want, right? But there needs to be that respect there. I used to dismiss QAnon until I saw Clanhead. Made me a fan overnight. They totally did. And the worst part is that the trend became the business model of Channel Awesome and the hate watch that went on. Yeah. And I think people, I feel like people have realized that. It still exists in, like, Mahler and stuff. Definitely still around, but I don't know, not in the same capacity. That's why I've ever really been a fan of when James Rolfe does this, as he realizes it's just a character. Yeah, and he's very transparent about that, which I really like. He's also just funny. It's also just, like, fun to see his reactions to stuff. Like when something horrible in a game happens to him, he's just like, "Fuck!" That's so funny. Not just the one fight. Like, if I stay still for too long, a safe drops on you. It's fucking Darkwing Duck review. He's just really good at just, like, really jabbing into it and just, like, laughing at some of the stuff, right? But it's genuine fun. It's not miserable. A lot of this feels miserable to me. I had a sister start my first subbed anime with Escaflowne. Only got to watch like 3 episodes because 2,000 DVDs. So I was ignorant of hating shoujo aesthetic slow tones. Yeah, fair. I guess all what you're into, right? Whatever you get into. Yeah, that Kyoto Martian article is not good. Not a fan. Anywho, there were some good ones, and I'm sorry to, like, I'm really not great at judging, because a lot of them really are just passable to me. The weird stuff sticks out to me way more often, and yeah, maybe I'm slightly skewed. Not slightly. I am, like, skewed towards finding that stuff because it's sensationalist, right? I'll be perfectly admit to go into that. The sensational stuff is kind of the most interesting things. And maybe you can make that, like, lump that or extend that argument into why, they're making all this outlandish, because that's ultimately more sensational and clickable and stuff. And so I'm just reacting to that. I don't know. But ultimately, I do appreciate these sorts of things and the fact that they get me interested in these works. Kakarenbo, I liked it. They had a lot of nuance and detail on the director specifically. And I would love to spend another fucking hour. It's already been over 3 hours. I started at 6 and now it's 9. I would love to spend that time and, like, go into that other stuff, right? Karas, a lot of description with hardly any opinion. It was a good article to read. Kichiro Kawamoto films, I didn't know about, and I like this statement. I agree with it. It may be Japanese and animated, but it's often a world away from what the mainstream often conceives as anime. Yes, I agree. Although it's interesting that you omitted all of stop motion and puppets from your first edition. You seem to have pivoted since then. Maybe because of these particular films. King's Tale. This is a really interesting example. This is from 1947. I think it's unreleased because it sounded like it was unreleased. I actually do want to read this one because it's not like one I can, like, recommend, or I don't think it exists. It sounds like it was unreleased. In the Kingdom of Foxes, a prince is born without a tail in this heavily allegorical retelling of the Emperor's New Clothes. This obscure title was planned as the grand renaissance of the Japanese animation business in the deprived 1940s. Clocking in at a 47-minute running time, sufficient to form the main feature in a program of all Japanese cartoons, The King's Tale was intended to present local competition for an oncoming tidal wave of Disney films, which had been kept from the Japanese public during the war years. The production employed 40 animators, the bulk of the surviving creatives from wartime anime, and supposedly used 100,000 cells, which would have made it a work of abundantly full animation. However, it went into production during a time of extreme tensions and Cold War witch hunts at the Toho studio, whose new union-busting chairman, Tetsuzo Watanabe, proclaimed it to be riddled with redness. Quote, riddled with redness. The film was cut down to 33 minutes in an attempt to remove its alleged left-wing leanings. But Watanabe still refused to release it. His decision bankrupted the production studio Nihon Manga Eiga Sha,
and ruined the chances of Japan mounting an effective opposition to American animation imports for almost a decade. That's why we have Panda and the White Serpent was the first, animated feature, I believe, right? Japanese animated feature. But from 1958, this would have been 1947 or 49. Yeah, 1949. Mitsuya Seo, the former director of Momotaro's Divine Sea Warriors, left the animation business in disgust. As a result of the colossal pre-release failure of The King's Tale, the Japanese animation industry struggled to complete a feature film, with only the 25-minute Piggyback Ghost from 1955 coming remotely close, before the release of Panda and the Magic Serpent. Interesting! Wow! So cool! These guys really know their shit. One. You know what I mean? What's the Japanese title of King's Tale? Sorry. Osama no Shippo. Osama, O-S-A-M-A. Let me type it in. And maybe it isn't lost, but it did sound like he didn't even release it. They cut it to 33 minutes, but Watanabe still refused to release it. Read the chat. I've only recently watched the Escaflowne movie when Adult Swim aired it. I should rectify that someday. Yeah, it's great. Hey, Shapes. I don't know if you would have any way to know this, but considering you work with Discotech, you might. Has anyone actually done any research into what percentage of anime fans watch dub versus sub? No. No, there's no way to tell. But especially because you can rewatch anime as much as you want, and like, let me try the dub, let me try the sub, let me watch the dub and the sub, kind of mix them, right? Where like you start with the dub and like, let's go to the sub. Or you go to the sub and it's like, let's go to the dub. No way to tell. Any research into what percentage of anime fans? You'd have to go for a survey to do that. And I think it's a lot of people, it's going to be a nuanced answer, because it is a nuanced thing. It's a case-by-case basis. You could be like, how many people watch Fullmetal Alchemist dubbed versus subbed? But you'd have to tally those people. And you'd also have to be like, all the way through dubbed or all the way through subbed. Or do you do half and half? Or do you do general? It's a really complicated. I don't know if they'd ever be... It'd have to be a lot of research. So I was always interested in finding out, what's the Japanese title of King's Tale? Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you put that in there, Alice, sorry. It might be more dubbed, but it's also more different demographics and also sub-watchers. Dubs and subs are both good. I'm turning it around on dubs since a lot of VAs work on video games and Western cartoons anyways. It's just that nobody's going to be able to dub stuff like Symphogear songs. Looking for it online. Apparently it is preserved and someone has seen it. Oh, okay. Okay, someone's seen it. One of those. A lot of hentai's like that, right? Like early, like, erotica stuff. Been, like, preserved in, like, a museum or something. Someone's seen it. Don't get me started on something awful. Anime fans are immature dorks, but we're not, even though we played video games. But the dweebs. Yeah, it makes it between dub and subs and Kamichi right now. I don't think many people are sub-dub mixers, or if they are, they only do so initially before leaning one way. No, that's what I mean. They lean one way eventually. I'm like, but there are definitely people that, like, try it or rewatch things and stuff. Also because tons of people just watch a show once. Oh, exactly. But there is just no way to tell, really. Something awful being, like, maybe the genesis of, like, almost every terrible trend online. If not certainly the earliest origin point. Yeah, probably. But that was a great article. I never knew about that. That's really interesting. That's a great part of history. I'm really happy I read this encyclopedia to learn things like that. Kotatsu Cat. They were able to use it as a platform for Jun Aoki's other shorts. Jun Aoki, director of Pop Team Epic. And other such things. So yeah, and they were like really complimentary of it. That was really cool. Takao Koyama. Yeah, so there's a script writer for Dragon Ball and other things. He wrote a lot of the Dragon Ball movies. He's also explained why so much of Dragon Ball seems like a prolonged fight scene, since on occasion he has been asked to turn a single panel from the manga into a 25-minute episode. I like that. I like that. That's an interesting... That just made me interested.
It wasn't an odd choice because, yeah, it's a little condescending to Dragon Ball or something, but I was interested because I wanted to know what episode that is and what panel he's referring to. He does, and that would take a little, and I was like tempted to do it, but it was towards the end of the, it was like 2/3 away from my reading, and it was like 4 p.m. I had to finish my reading, but and I'm not probably going to take the time now to stream it because it's over 3 hours yet so far. But this was interesting, and I'd wonder if you guys want to do your own research about this. But he's like, there was at least one episode, he has on occasion been asked to turn a single panel into a 25-minute episode. I would love to see that. I would love to know what that is, what the panel was, what episode it was, and analyze it. How did he do? How hard is it? I like that idea of turning a panel into a whole episode. That's interesting to me. It doesn't sound like, oh, you know, but what did he do? If you're tasked with that, if you're like, this story, we're running alongside the mod, we can't do anime original content. How do we stretch this out? It's this one panel. We could do something with that. Okay. And that's the challenge. There's a creative challenge to overcome here. That's interesting. He's done so he's done 30-something episodes of Z and 15 of original Dragon Ball. So it would take a little while, probably, to go through that, to see which one he's referring, and also look at the manga to see which one he's referring to. But yeah. I was just thinking, because I read that apparently 80% of Netflix viewers watch Squid Game dubbed, which surprised me, as I didn't know live action dubbed was still a thing. So I started thinking maybe dub watchers were a lot more common than most would think. Yes. No, they are. Because they, think of how long it took Parasite to win Best Picture. Where a foreign language film that's not dubbed, was not dubbed, to be gotten the Oscar. A lot of people can't accept subtitles yet, surprisingly. Despite the anime, but then the anime crowd, it's going to be a lot more sub. Because there's a lot of stuff that still hasn't been dubbed. Non sequitur, but people are digging up scrap tokusatsu dubs. We'd have to study over countries' viewing habits because America really polarized and politicized the whole subject. Yes, of course we did. It's a bunch of insecure losers who need to remind you how animation fans are dorks for still watching cartoons, but they're adults for playing games like Kirby. All irony is lost. Yeah. I wonder which episode that is. I blame 4Kids for One Piece for the whole sub versus dub bickering. Some of it, yeah. A chunk of it, but not all of it. Because really, I don't think that 4Kids... For One Piece specifically, as a fan of One Piece now, with 800 episodes in, yeah, it's bad or something, but you can't fuck up One Piece that much. Just because he has the character Helmeppo has a gun against Kobe's head, and then they change it to the cigarette's a lollipop instead. Those minor things, honest to God, do not take away from how, those moments are not what make One Piece good. Just because he's smoking a cigarette, I like One Piece because Sanji smokes a cigarette. Sure, that's a cool aspect of his character. That's a cool characterization, right? And you could point out, it's funny that they have to censor it that way, sure. But it does not detract from the show. The dub choices and the performances are kind of whatever. Sure. But call it for that, and don't just be like, it's bad because they replaced Helmeppo's gun with a water gun or something. And no. Sure, it doesn't make any sense. It just blows it out of proportion. And everyone's missing that One Piece is good because it's funny, and because it has adventure, and because it's fun. You see what I mean? But of course they're going to make a big deal out of it. No, see, our hobby's real significant because let's plays take work. Fast forward to Red Prairie getting completely drowned out by non-edited shock flip LPs. 4Kids is certainly one of the big dividing lines of subs and dubs, but I guess we can't really argue the results. Which implies that anime doesn't take any work to make, or that anime reviewers don't work hard to make videos. You can like subs and still watch some stuff dubbed.
I try to do case by case. Yeah. They cut the Laboon episodes entirely from the show. Okay. That's a shame. But, like, you know, that's all cutting stuff out, you know. Sure. But, like, and that would have bit them in the ass if they ever got to Thriller Bark somehow. But those are, like, 4 episodes out of, what, like 80 they dubbed? They exposed One Piece to an audience that had never seen it before, and it's fun. I don't know. Could have made fans. Could have still made fans out of it. They tried, and they also didn't want it, right? Didn't Toei push it on them? They tried. I'll probably watch Edge Runners dubbed, because there's not really slang in the Japanese part. Yeah, I heard the subs are not good for that either. It's like Miho is translated as M-I-H-O instead of M-I-J-O. Not like a big deal, but yeah. They cut over 40 episodes. How? Did they just cut all of Little Giant or something? Like Little Garden? How do they cut all that? Oh, to be fair, they don't go up to Skypiea. They went up to end of Alabasta. And then the ship... It's funny because it ends on the ship falling from the sky. The start of Skypiea. It starts with them from there, and that's the end of the show. Which is really funny. But... I don't like Sanji's 4Kids VA. Sure. And you can judge it for that. But not like, oh, lollipop or something. Like, whatever, dude. ND, they also changed Usopp Fake Out Death. See, no Nami's on there said from the start. On their side from the start. Okay. Yeah, of course they're making things worse in different places. But One Piece is a huge series. Even in like East Blue, there's so many different moments to it that stack on top of each other that make it consistently entertaining and fun show. Like, I'm not saying 4Kids One Piece is good, but I'm just saying I don't think it's that big of a deal, particularly because it's One Piece. If it was other shows that's like hilariously bad that they cut out this like dark, if they tried to do, say, Bleach or Naruto like that, it's like, come on, you know, it's a joke. But like 4Kids One Piece, the show itself is very cartoony and fun. Like Buggy turns into a fucking car. Like, it doesn't feel completely out of place to have Luffy in this group with, like, Sonic X and Kirby and in the group that 4Kids was making. Even the VA hated Sanji voice. 4Kids made him do that stupid voice. For comparison, he did some voices on Slayers, and he sounds far more professional. Oh, yeah. I like the Edge Runners dub. Seems like the dub was well liked if they are okay with the game jargon. The first episode was like a little shaky, but that's because there's no exposition. It's so exposition heavy. I mean, I became a One Piece fan from the 4Kids dub as a kid. Yep. 4Kids didn't want One Piece, so they just got stuck. Yep. There's some sort of punchline to this, and the other case is Power Rangers just existing, being like only remembered as the first vocalized series. And I feel like if someone else got into One Piece, it would be a lot more popular in the US. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's getting good now. It's getting popular now. Don't worry about it. It's a whole stigma about cartoons. I hated that dub so much as a kid, it personally turned me off from 4Kids' other dubs. Sure. You don't really have to watch them. The other dubs are kind of similar in that way, because they cut some stuff and kind of cartoony and whatever, sure. When I was growing up, Bleach and Naruto were much more popular than One Piece because of the 4Kids dub. Oh yeah, no, I get that. It's putting the show in the right place. I'm not saying that it didn't damage the reputation. I'm just saying that it's like, it would be it would be as popular now. Like, nah. No, it was published in Weekly Shonen Jump when they had a US print run. It was in the conversations with the big three, along with Bleach and Naruto and stuff. It just didn't reach the right crowds at the time, and now it is because it's still running. It depends if they get Foxbox Saturday morning cartoon slot. I say. Anyway, complete tangent. I'm pretty tired. But this is some stuff I was interested in. Let's do a quick, very quick, not too long, quick of just some stuff that I'm interested in that I wrote down. Mainichi Ka-san. Aw, that looks like fun. And apparently it's like not really for kids because it's sort of like, you know, it's really from the mom's perspective. Like these fucking dopey kids, you know. It just sounds like a lot of fun, and it looks very cartoony. It looks like a good time. I doubt it's subbed, but that seems like fun. Kaido Maru. Ooh, not very well liked. What was it about this one that I found interesting? It was always either like, either they liked it or don't like it. It was always just how they described it. Oh yeah, they liked this one. Kaido Maru's greatest achievement is the washed-out watercolor style that makes the whole thing seem like gazing at a fragile ancient painting. They said it's an evocative and original anime from Production IG. Like gazing at a fragile ancient painting. Color designer gets top billing alongside distinctive character designs for Tokijoshi. He deserves it. Make no mistake, someone spent a lot of money integrating the traditional CG artwork in this, and did some scenes, like the prolonged tracking shot across Heian plains, palaces, are plain and simple showing off. Palette's color scheme is not merely a deliberate contrast to the same team's earlier Blood, The Last Empire, but also a bold subversion of much of what anime stands for, sacrificing the kid-friendly strengths of primary colors for a watercolor look reminiscent of Studio Ghibli's My Neighbors the Yamadas. But part of the glamour of the Heian period is precisely what we tend to view it through a historic haze. While violent moments may recall the samurai savagery of Yoshiaki Kawajiri, Kaido Maru recreates a fantasy ideal of the Japanese past, and it does so well it belongs on the shelf with classic anime like The Sensualist and Tail Genji. Yeah, so it's just like really well described and just like maybe want to check it out. Only one OVA too. Kakurenbo. Okay. Not very well liked either, but interesting. Huh. What was it about this one? Kakurenbo. I wish I put them in parentheses why I liked them. Oh yeah, the hide and seek one. It's like, oh, it's a morbid hide and seek thing. Director Morita also makes clever use of dim backgrounds, atmospheric lighting, and fake fade-outs to save on actual animation without losing too much impact. He's well supported by the music, which uses an unusual sound to enhance the eerie atmosphere, and employs the rarest of soundtrack elements, silence, very skillfully. Creator, writer, director, producer Morita also did storyboards, CGI animation, and editing. It's only 24 minutes, too. It just seems like a good time. Really interesting. Let's see. It's a horror one, too. Let's see. Kanamemo. Yeah. The premise of this seemed interesting. All of her living relatives have passed away, so that, you know, no one can provide to her. She stumbles upon, like, a local newspaper delivery business, so she lives there. And then it's a bunch of, like, adults and stuff. And they're like, oh, they all are holding down their own jobs. Even this girl who's in middle school or whatever. But then they say, like, all of a sudden, like, out of nowhere, that's the one where they're just like, oh, sexual assault's not funny. Even fucking... It's like, wait, sexual assault? What the fuck? Where was it? Where was it? Come up. Oh, for fuck. Mixed. Yeah. All prettily inconsequential except for the constant sexual overtones. Molestation and sexual grooming are just as tasteless within one gender as across both. Jeez, where is that coming from? I don't know. That was just like so shocking to me. No, gonna keep going instead of looking at chat and you know, making this longer as this does. Oh, my back. Oh, I have not been in a good fucking sitting position all night. Karis. This thing, I don't know, looked pretty cool. Not what I was expecting based on their description of it, but kind of neat. Kind of like it. I'm just gonna keep going. Karin. Oh yeah, they were like, oh, this is the one of like, it's an interesting look into the, allegorizes the the girl's girl's interest in blood loss, and like it's like, oh yeah, and then she's like, oh, I just love giving away blood, I guess. Otherwise, I get nosebleeds. I have too much blood that goes out of my mouth. But it's like, okay, seems cute. Chibi vampire Karin. All right, Carl Tofushigi. Not To. Oh, wow. Holy shit. This just sounded kind of interesting. 26 5-minute episodes. Of course, I know how to pick them. Yeah. Story center of mystical tall tower. Every morning, noon, an old man rings the bell. However, one day at noon, the tower bell fails to ring. They're confused about when to eat lunch. It begins with Carl, an inquisitive boy living in the town, decides to go to the tower to see what the matter is. I don't know, it just seems like really pleasant and cute, and yeah. Kihachiro Kawamoto. This guy. They had like a collection on DVD or whatever and had all these films and stuff. Not all of them, but I recognize that. I've seen people recommend this one. Yeah, there it is, right? Keiichi Kawahari Filmworks. Wow. Impressive. Got some other stuff too. Funohi I've actually remember about. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, ooh, cool. Interesting. Koge Pan. It just sounds cute. It's a Sanrio thing, but it's like this piece of bread has to stay in the oven for way too long, and it's burnt bread. There's no chance of being sold, so he just sees all his friends get sold, and he can't, and it's like kind of sad. That just seems like fun. It just sounds sort of like really harmless and cute. 10 4-minute episodes. Kokoro Library. We looked this one up earlier. Kokoro, fucking this one, Toshokan. I don't know. It just seems oddly melancholic and thoughtful and different. So I'm just like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Piques my interest. Interesting, piques my interest. Kotatsu Cat. Yep, Kotatsu Neko. Same director as Poptain Epic, Jun Aoki. And they said it was like really action-packed and fun. So it's like, okay. Only 2 1-minute episodes. So yeah. Cool. I'm a fan. I think that's all of it. Oh my god. 3.5 hours. Probably the longest stream? I think so. Granted, a lot of talking with you guys, which I really appreciate. It's really great all of you have been here. Some of you probably the whole time. It's really awesome. Let's see. Yeah, people were talking a lot. Sorry if I was missing chat. I'm reminded a little about one vid I saw recently on Project Echo, and how it was also a standout in contrast to most Adult Swim anime block Gits and Bebop type shows. For some reason, the designs of Mainichi reminds me of Catsup. Yeah, I can kind of see that. What video and what comment are you responding to? Oh, the comment just about the response. I think the Kaiser Beams vid. Okay. Also weird stuff like Inuyasha and 03, so they weren't strangers to uncut shonen anime. Yeah. Oh man, I bought Kaido Mao for 75 cents at Borders when it was shutting down way back. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. Yeah. Kakurembo is really short. Might as well watch it. Oh yeah. I get it. But I'll probably like watch a lot of these like collectively, just to get an idea of like, this was great. I'm happy I read it, so I watched that show. You know, probably do a lot of that collectively. He had a historical anime retrospective, and it's more like that the final conclusion that Eiko is distinctly otaku Japanese instead of being associated with cyberpunk thriller US niche. That's a good video. If you've seen his Blackjack, the movie video, it does a good job of introducing the show to newcomers. I remember Kakurembo when Adult Swim aired it when I was young. It's a really good horror anime. CGI blends beautifully. I think I might dig more, but eventually. But Eiko was from an Anime Digest recommendations, less of a review, and more the cultural impact I'm interested in. I like the show. I like the movie though. Eiko's great. Cars isn't an adaptation of a well-loved Toku series. Damn, we got Proto Vadlove. I remember Vladlove, yeah. I remember thinking, oh, this sounds like Lad Love. Hope it isn't mid. Yeah. I feel like Culture Impact, his Genocide review, does a good job explaining. Yeah. Also, I watched this Supercon Deca video because it's sort of leading to my mental timeline map of when Sailor Moon really changed about Maho Shoujo. Yeah. Cars is the original IP from Tatsunoko. Yeah, it seemed like that. No, they mentioned that. They do mention that Karas doesn't use the burnt bread for stuffing. Oh yeah, I was thinking of Garo. I don't know. There's a lot of neat documentation on like 90s anime on these sort of channels. Look at that. How am I coming in at the end of 2 weeks in a row? Yeah, Matt, how you doing? Let's fucking go. And this one's at the end of 3.5 hours, so I can't entertain it for long, unfortunately. Once I catch up to this chat, I'm out of here. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Blah blah blah. Oh yes, Fred too. Good to see you. Oh yeah, Garo is legit. Sorry, lol. No, you're good. I'm not sure what you mean. It's more that anime historian type channels get better documentation, or I just took over the bubble. It's in the 2000s, I says, yeah. Depends on the video. I get a good job. You know, I wish I could get into Kaiser Beam videos more. I've just given him too many chances of just like, and it's always been very similar of like, I love his Looney Tunes stuff. The history of Looney Tunes were like my favorite thing from him. But I just can't take him talking about anime for some reason. It just doesn't hit, doesn't slap. I don't know what it is. Damn, the Moomin thing ended. So I'm going to use that as an opportunity to use this as outro music. Oh my god. I do have to go because it's been too long. These fucking guys are still here. I want to say bye to them before they go. It's been for so long. Anyway, it's 9:30. Yes. You guys, thank you so much for coming. You guys make this worth it every single time. It really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed that, and hope to see you next time for L. And somewhere in L, we'll hit the halfway point, if you can believe it. Fucking halfway done, and all that shit. Unbelievable. It's what's new. Also popular trending. Just heard by the algorithm. Yeah, that's fair. All right, you guys have a good week. Yo, peace.